During a holiday week, turkey week, football week, big football week, a lot of different regards. Packers back at it. Paul Bunyan's axe up for grabs. Got a lot going on. Good to have you today. Sunny day, warming up. I like it. Most of the snow is pretty much dissipated in my yard, so I'm happy about that. And just not ready for snow yet. Maybe in a week or two, maybe once you get into the kind of Christmas spirit. But beyond that, not yet. Just not ready for it yet. So that being said, welcome to the program today. We got a lot to get to. Ben, did you happen by any chance to catch the show Get Up this morning?
No. I was in here early. I must say I do not turn ESPN on in the morning.
Okay. So I woke up this morning. And I was watching, and obviously it's much like Brady or LeBron. There's always something about Aaron Rodgers. They were getting into the suggestion that it's time for Aaron Rodgers to go.
Oh,
yeah. And I was like, whoa, here we go. Because I mean, just when anything ever like that comes up, it's the whole world blows up. So this morning I got a buddy of mine from Ohio. He texted me, hey, are they considering trading it? Because if you don't catch the whole conversation, you just see the headline and people go, oh my God, So anyway, that was the first text I got this morning. And then after that, it was a couple of different conversations. And look, we all know unless there's going to be some team that's going to take on a bunch of that salary, it's not going to happen. He's not going anywhere. He has talked about remaining a Green Bay Packer. And he talks about, wanting to retire here and such. And I look at it this way. And now I've looked at it through Aaron Rodgers' eyes, at least the best I could a couple of times, and I've been wrong. But if I'm Rodgers, I want my legacy attached to the Packers for forever. The only way, if I'm Rodgers, I want to leave is if I believe wherever I'm going, one more year, I'm going to win a Super Bowl or have the best shot at winning a Super Bowl, a la Matthew Stafford going to the Rams. Say Trey Lance, they don't believe in, and they want to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. And so there's a trade, and suddenly he goes back to San Francisco for one more year to try to make it all work and whatever, That way it's in the Shanahan offense, but I can't ever see the Packers ever trading him to San Francisco. It would be monumentally dumb. You don't trade him in the division. I don't, I would never do that. So that was first. Secondly, what AFC team is only a quarterback away? There's not many.
Oh, Bill, send him to the Raiders. Have him go play with his buddy Devontae.
Well, okay. So that would be the best case scenario, wouldn't it? That would be more irony and make us smile than anything. But the only team that he could go to that you would say, okay, has enough of a team to be relevant would be the Jets. The Jets are decent. They're good up front. They're very good defensively. We know that. We've seen it. They've got some weapons, but they've got a very immature quarterback who is now taking a lot of heat. I don't know if you saw Saleh yesterday during his presser say, when asked specifically, is he your quarterback? And Saleh's like, we're going to look at the film, and he wouldn't commit. It was like, wow, that's a pretty loud statement. So would he go play for the Jets? I don't think Bill Belichick would ever want that headache in New England. You're not going to Buffalo. You're not going to Miami. You're not going to Cleveland. Pittsburgh, I don't think has enough talent. You're not going to Tennessee. You're not going to Indianapolis. Not going to Jacksonville. Not going to Houston. And you're not going to the Denver Broncos. You're not going to the Raiders. You're not going to the Chargers. You're not going to the Chiefs. Chargers got a quarterback in Herbert they believe in. Chiefs obviously have Mahomes. So you're going to go to an AFC team if he ever gets traded. And there's only one team that makes sense, and that would be the Jets. That's it. I don't think Pittsburgh's ready to fly yet. But the Jets, a couple pieces here and there, and suddenly they're a pretty good football team, specifically with a really good defense. So
I would maybe throw the Colts in that ring. Like, their offense is a disaster, but their defense has been top 10, top 5 in the league.
Okay.
It's just Matt Ryan can't cut it.
So we can go in that direction. Maybe the Colts. But
plus they could hire Hackett.
Right. I don't think he and Saturday ever got along. I don't think him and Jeff Saturday ever really got along together. I don't think that was a great relationship. I think it was a working relationship. So that would be it. Unless some team, like say you're in the midst of a major rebuild and you know it, and you're just bloodletting salary, then maybe you could say a team like San Francisco or what have you, maybe you would go in that direction. But for two reasons. One is going back to the original. What set all of this angst into motion was the San Francisco call to begin with. That night before the draft, when everything came out, everything was leaked on draft morning. We all know what began to spiral after that. I can never see that ever happening. Arizona just paid their quarterback. The Rams, obviously, we have Matthew Stafford. Now he could retire, but New Orleans and maybe like a New Orleans type of deal, send him south and get him out of the way, Carolina. But he's going to have right of refusal to where he wants to go. So that's why I think it's so ridiculous that this was even discussed. But this was something that went on this morning, and I thought, this is just. I hate to say it because it's an evil term in our world, but I think this morning that was mere discussion clickbait. That was it. Nothing more. There's no validity to anything. If I'm Rodgers, I think now again, I want my legacy tied to the Green Bay Packers. So if I'm Rodgers, I say, okay, what can we do to bolster this team? What legitimately can we do? If I have a belief in Brian Gutekunst is saying, let's turn this thing around in a year, what can we do? Okay. You got to get another wide receiver, hands down. Okay. You get another wide receiver. You got to look at things through a very honest light. David Bakhtiari, when he's played extremely well for coming back for that knee issue. For all the angst that we have about Bakhtiari and how long it took him to come back, you got to give it to him. He's played well. Give him credit where credit's due. He's played well, but you're going to save that $6 million next year. Unless, of course, there's some kind of wacky kick the can down the road, type of thing. I have no idea. Pac Fan says even Peter King, he started all of this too. He mentioned it in his Football Morning in America column. So
yeah, he said the Raiders.
I did catch part of that. But it didn't become like that front page discussion until this morning. So anyway, because I don't have put it this way, it was never brought to my attention yesterday. I saw it, but I just glossed over it. It's like, no, it's not going to happen. No big deal. Whereas, people started talking about it because they were discussing it this morning on Get Up is my point. It became the round table discussion this morning. So, but good point. So I don't see it happening. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, I say, hey, look, let's look into an honest mirror here. This is where we're at. This is the team we have. What do we need? We obviously need a better tight end, or a complementary tight end. You need another wide receiver. You got a pretty good offensive line. You could probably bolster that a little bit. You're going to have to change some money around, either kicking it down the road for Bakhtiari for one more year, or you're just going to let him go. And you're going to save the $6 million and put that back into the salary cap somewhere. You got some guys that are starting to come up. You got to make decisions on. Do you sign them and extend them? Do you make a lot of these signing bonuses and such very minimal the first year and then really put this team into salary cap jail later on down the road and take another stab or two at it? But I think if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I think just from a perspective of this is my career. If this is my career. My legacy is in Green Bay, and if I can get back to and win one more Super Bowl, so maybe you wrap your arms around it and say, okay, look, we're committed. We're going to kick it down the road. We're going to do a couple things for the next 2 years. Then here you go. And maybe, but again, they have a decision to make with Jordan Love going into next season because we all know you're not going to pay both Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love an exorbitant amount of money, so you got to make a decision there. But I just don't see them trading him. Now, maybe I'm completely wrong on this. And God knows it wouldn't be the first time. But I just don't see them saying, hey, Aaron, things suck. We're going to go ahead and let you out of this. Get you out of here. I don't see that happening. Because as much as you want to say, well, you know what? The offensive weaponry around you wasn't good. The offensive line early on wasn't good. The defense hasn't been good. But you also got to say, and Aaron, you haven't been very good. Thumb issues aside, whether it's the thumb, whether it's just you, and then there was a whole thing. Did you see somebody tweeted out, Ben, and maybe you sent it to me. I can't remember. I had so much sent to me. The whole thing about ayahuasca, about the lingering effects of a drug, the drug of ayahuasca, that you have lingering effects that can affect the mind and the ability. And I'm like, what the hell is this? This is like he wasn't running around taking, LSD. And now he's having, like, on Sundays, he's having like flashback reactions. But that's kind of the way they were making it out, that this ayahuasca has been proven with some study. I don't know. You have to Google it, see if you can find it. But with some study that ayahuasca, on 100 people that were studied, that it has these lingering long-term drug effects. And I'm like, wow, okay, people are really reaching. But it's what people are trying to figure out as to why Aaron Rodgers is not having an MVP type of season. And I think it goes to a lot of different things. I think it's the loss of Devontae Adams, the play calling, the defense, the thumb, the offseason. I think a lot of that stuff is all just kind of come boiling to a head and said, okay, here it is. Here's a lot of reasons why things just didn't get off to the best start. And then we've seen it in the past. When things begin to spiral downward, sometimes you just can't stop the snowball. It's just you can stand there, you can stand there and you can try to stop it. You can put your arms up and say, hey, wait a minute, and try to stop. But most of the time it just rolls right over you. And that's kind of what it's doing. That's just kind of what it's doing. So I don't know. I don't want to, kind of insinuate that all the ayahuasca or anything else for that matter is causing him problems. I would say it's probably more the thumb than anything, but it's, people are just reaching at this point. People are reaching at this point. So anyway, 877-867-1670. That's the phone number to get a hold of us. And when we come back, I got something, doesn't happen very often, but I got something I want to talk about real quick regarding the Facebook fan page yesterday where people went nuts. It's like, whoa, cool your jets. Hang on a minute. So I want to talk about that. We got a lot to get to. We're going to hear from Jim Leonard today, coming out of the Badger football program. Rob Reichel is going to be joining us from Forbes.com and Conley Media. We're going to talk with him. We got the power rankings. We're going to take a look around the rest of the NFL. Who are the true, really leaders in the NFL? We'll start to go top to bottom via conferences. Also, power rankings today. We'll get into that discussion. Stay tuned. We got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's brought to you by Bud Light. Tomorrow night, going to be down at the Mecca in the Deer District, the Mecca Sports Bar and Grill. Down there tomorrow night for the Bill Michaels Huddle, brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. They are the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network, and looking forward to it. The night before Thanksgiving, all that kind of stuff. So come on down tomorrow night, enjoy yourself, grab a little grub, hang out for a little while. But we're going to be at the Mecca tomorrow night at the Deer District down by the Fiserv Forum. Come on by and say hi. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next. Ready?
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others. Time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or pirate ship or a sports themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine. A place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Everything, the sterile scrubby wipes and disinfectants, and also the car cleaning products, whether it's the glass cleaner or the ceramics and the polishes and stuff for the car, the motorcycle, the boat. They've got something for everybody. And if you're a janitorial service, if you're industrial, or if you're just a homeowner, a car owner, motorcycle, boat guy, whatever it is, UTV, ATV, you name it, go to getwabam.com, W-A-B-A-M, getwabam.com. That is getwabam.com. So yesterday, on the Facebook fan page, and we've all been following what the snowstorm was over in Buffalo this past weekend. And a buddy of mine had posted a picture. I was on Facebook, and we've all done this. And I was on Facebook, and I looked at him like, holy mackerel! It was like some neighborhood, and the car had another like 4 feet of snow on top of the car and everything. I'm like, wow. So him and I were texting back and forth. I said, hey, I'm going to grab that and put it on my page. He said, go ahead. So I did. And all of a sudden I got this exorbitant amount of like follow on it. It was, God, it had to be at least 10 or 20,000 people. It was amazing. The problem was the picture was from, I guess it was an ABC News article from years ago. And the picture was, it was a true picture, but it was not from this particular snowstorm. But it was just a picture. And, they still got 70 inches of snow. It wasn't like I was trying to dupe anybody. But people were, like really coming hard. Which I have to, first of all, question your motives when you do something like that. Why you're, just coming so hard. It's not like we're duping anybody. It was just, I grabbed a picture from a buddy of mine and posted it. So I took it down and I said, look, it was on my page. I wasn't trying to be erroneous about it. And I just said, here's a picture. Holy mackerel, 65 to 70 inches of snow. That's a lot of snow. Did you see that, Ben?
No,
okay.
I must say I'm not on Facebook very often.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm there because it posts from there to Instagram and such as well. So it kind of connects all the accounts. So that's the easiest portal to go through. But oh my God, people went nuts. The media trying to screw trying to wag the dog, and it just what? It was like, wow, they they did get a snowstorm. That picture just wasn't from that particular snowstorm. And I got another buddy of mine that actually lives in Rochester, New York, and he was showing me pictures of the snow and everything too. It's not nearly as bad as it was in Buffalo, but still, they got like 54 inches of snow, and he had posted some of those pictures. But it wasn't like we're trying to fool anybody. It's just I wanted to bring it up because some people just take life way too serious. I mean, like, get pissed off serious. And haters hate, and you can't change their mind. That's fine. But I took it down, and it's not like some admission of guilt. It's just like, well, if the picture doesn't fit the story, then you just pull it down. But we've all done that. How many times have we taken a picture and went, holy crap, and you save the picture and put it out on your own post? We've all done it. So it was just, that was it. And my buddy doesn't want to be on a public page, which is the reason I grabbed the picture to begin with. So I wanted to explain it, but not that I really felt like I absolutely positively needed to, but nevertheless, I wanted to do that because people say, well, you don't address it. So I did. There you go. By the way, so going back to the, because I had a couple of people saying the ayahuasca story is made up. The Daily Mail, dailymail.com, it's out of the UK, says that now the whole story, when I was talking about this earlier, the ayahuasca, the psychedelic brew blamed for Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers' poor performances causes mental health problems that lasts months in the majority of users, according to a landmark study. They say many celebrities visit South America to enjoy its healing properties, but researchers have found that can also trigger headaches, vomiting, and such. Concerns are being raised about the long-term side effects of the psychedelic drink enjoyed by the Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers in the first major global study of its kind. Researchers surveyed more than 10,000 people from more than 50 countries about their experiences with ayahuasca, an ancient South American brew. And again, you take it for what it is. It's, it's whatever it is. Daily Mail is more of a what I consider to be a National Enquirer type of thing, but they just said that it's got negative effects. But this was, my point is that this is what was going around. People were grabbing this as some kind of hardcore truth and saying, this is the reason Aaron Rodgers is off. And it looks very credible, but we've heard nothing like that. And there's nothing there. And the NFL would certainly have stepped in and said, hey, wait a minute, there's something to this. We need to, investigate this further. And we haven't heard anything like that. There's been no reference to, PEDs or any kind of drug issue. I mean, they pretty much scan you for everything. So there's nothing. What my point is there's nothing here. So, maybe there turns out to be down the road. But as far as this particular article goes, there's a lot of people passing it around as if it's gospel. I didn't spread it. I didn't link it, tag it, or anything like that. It's there. And it was sent to me by numerous people. So I think in between you, me, and the fence post, if I had to say, what is Aaron Rodgers' difference this year? I would say probably three things. One is you had a patchwork offensive line early. Two is you had young, inexperienced wide receivers. And three would be the thumb. And probably number one in the order would be the thumb. Then it would be the receivers. Then it would be the offensive line. Beyond that, it's just no. I'm kind of like, okay, I'll take it with a grain of salt, but beyond that, I'm not buying into that. So I just try to bring everything to the table. We nosh it out a little bit, and then we let the chips fall where they may. So, but for those that sent it to me this morning, I'm like, nah, I'm not really buying that. 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, do it. Randy hits us up and says, hey, Bill, great program. He said he's listening in the UP, went hunting over the weekend, scored a couple of bucks. He said, did get a couple of does with my son. He also says that watching the Green Bay Packers this coming weekend hopefully will not cause him to vomit up his Thanksgiving meal. He said, I'm looking forward to the Packers getting a win. What if they get a win over a good team like Philadelphia? Do we then look at this situation as Aaron Rodgers' thumb has had some time to heal? Well, it depends on how he plays. If they win because, say, Jalen Hurts turns the ball over 4 times, you would say it depends on what they do with the football. And if they're scoring and such, yes. I mean, but if the defense says, say the defense, the Packers offense scores a couple of touchdowns and the Packers defense scores a couple of touchdowns, well, then I don't know if I'm calling the offense back by any stretch of the imagination. If they win 28-24, 28-27, something like that, I don't think I'd say that the offense is back in that scenario. But I put it this way. I don't think that any time is non-beneficial to the thumb. The longer period of time that Rodgers does not have to use the thumb and he can continue to get treatment and such on it, then that's great. And we got in. I shouldn't say we. I got into this discussion yesterday. After I got off the air, we were talking about the thumb and about the possibility of a break. And Mike Clemens played all of that audio of Aaron Rodgers denying and saying the thumb is hurt. Which again, it makes you go back to, hey, Aaron, are you vaccinated? I'm immunized. Yes. Well, the thumb, if it was broke, it would be hurt. So he wouldn't be lying. So I thought, well, wait a minute. And the fact that he has talked about getting treatment on the thumb leads you to believe one of two things. It was either dislocated and they're working on the joint and keeping the swelling down and such, or there's a tendon issue in there that they're trying to, spur growth, or there is somewhat of a small fracture. And, nothing has been confirmed, but maybe there is. Maybe because if you're doing, wasn't it back when T.O. tried to come back from the broken leg, Ben? Do you remember that years gone by?
Yes, I do.
You were probably tiny back then.
I was a young football fan.
Yeah. He was doing, I think like an oxygen chamber, hyperbaric chamber, and infrared and all that kind of stuff. And I honestly don't know enough. Now, maybe there's a doctor floating around out there. I don't know enough about broken bones and such to say what treatment you can possibly do to spur growth and healing. I think there is something infrared wise. I don't know for sure. I think there is, though, that guys have gone in for treatment after the fact when they've had something set or whatever. And then they always say, I'm going in for treatment. You're like, well, rest is what treats a leg or an ankle or whatever. And I even thought I read something about Dak Prescott doing that. So maybe that's what they're talking about. And if that's the case, maybe he does have some kind of a small hairline fracture or something with a tendon that they're trying to, stimulate growth, that he's wearing something on the thumb to stimulate growth and blood flow, because that would be the case. So I don't think it's that far out of the realm of possibility, but it's not a break in the sense of a dislocation of a bone or something chipped or something broken to the point that it needs to be surgically repaired. It's not bad like a Dak Prescott break was. It might have been like a dislocation, a pop out, pop back in, and they're trying to spur the growth within the joint. I mean, I don't know, but I would probably say that the thumb has been an issue more than anything. So, again, just trying to bring some sense and sensibility for a lot of the stuff that's floating around out there when I woke up this morning. That's it. Let's do this. We're going to step away. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, start talking about the rest of the NFL. And last night, San Francisco, they put an emphatic stamp on the West. That was a Jimmy G game. But I don't necessarily believe that they are one of the best teams in the National Football League. Others do. I don't. And we'll tell you about why when we come back. This portion of the program brought to you by the Water Doctors. Go to h2theletterO doctors.com. That's h2theletterO doctors.com. The Connecticut water softening system, fantastic. I've had it in 3 different houses now, as a matter of fact. Love that system. Would swear by it. Put it up against any other system out there. As a matter of fact, I had them come the other day, and they changed an aqua filter. And they did the particles. I don't know what all that stuff means. All I know is that 0 is perfect, and nobody gives you perfect. And you're like good at 500 particles or whatever the hell it is. I had like 12 particles. I mean, it's like nothing. It's like some of the purest water you can possibly get. And that's what's coming out of my reverse osmosis, which is fantastic. That's why I've always said this is about the best stuff you can possibly get. And get a hold of my buddy John Atlee at the Water Doctors, anywhere from the state of Wisconsin, 262-549-7733. 262-549-7733. Ask for John. And don't forget, they also donate back to the Custom Canine Service Dog Academy. They do a lot of good stuff for veterans. Again, 262-549-7733, or go to h2theletterO doctors.com.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. And don't forget about our friends at Kunes, Kunes. Maybe you're going to jump in the RV or you're looking for one and you're going to head south. Go to warmer climates during the winter months. Go to Kunes RV, Kunes. Go to Kunes, Kunes, KunesRV.com. They're all over the state of Wisconsin. Now people are looking for their signs because they're everywhere. And they continue to grow. They continue to kind of remodel the dealerships all throughout the great state of Wisconsin and beyond the borders for that matter, as you can find them over there near La Crescent, Minnesota, just as you get ready to cross into Minnesota from La Crosse. But, and they're in northern Illinois as well, but they're all over the place. So get a hold of them. Go to Kunes, Kunes, KunesRV.com. That's KunesRV.com for any of your RVing needs, or whether it's buying new, used, trade-ins, consignment. They've got it all. Fifth wheel, travel trailer, motorhome, tow behind, whatever it happens to be, they have got it. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. You want to find us, please feel free to go ahead and do so. You can give us a shout right there. The rest of the NFL last night, you had an emphatic stamp by the 49ers. Well, I'll tell you what, Ben, is it just me, or does the Arizona Cardinals, now granted it was Colt McCoy, they just look terrible. This is it pretty much for Cliff Kingsbury, I would assume, correct?
I went to sleep after Kittle scored again to make it a 22 whatever point game.
Right.
I wasn't sure Cliff Kingsbury was going to get on the flight home.
Yeah.
Like, that's how bad it feels.
Yep. I would agree. When they ran the end around, it was Deebo Samuel was like 40 yards or something like that. When they ran Deebo Samuel and he ended up scoring, it was like, okay, this one's done, because they were just pulling out all the stops. They're nothing. It wasn't nothing, because Jimmy Garoppolo threw for 3 touchdown passes last night, 4 touchdown passes last night. Pardon me, 4. And then there was Colt McCoy, and he had the 1 pick. He 24-34, 218 yards, not much there. Connor is their running back along with Ingram, and they didn't do too much on the ground. I'll tell you this, man, that defense of San Francisco. Now, I don't think they are the front runner. Okay. But San Francisco has very quietly, just with Garoppolo, just kind of crept up on everybody. And if you look at their scoring differential, it is the 3rd best in the NFC. The 3rd best in the NFC. That's the most amazing thing about it. 3rd best in the NFC. Philadelphia is number 2. Dallas is number 1. Dallas got a big scoring differential after the beatdown they put on the Dallas Cowboys on the Minnesota Vikings this past weekend, and the way they beat them up. As a matter of fact, Minnesota, it's funny, Minnesota leads the division, and their point differential is -2. -2. Every other division leader is positive. They're the only ones in the National Football League as a division leader with a negative point differential. That's the Minnesota Vikings. But yeah, you look at San Francisco, and boy, they've come on. That's a heck of a team. The funny thing is that they're 500 on the road, but they're 4-0 in the division now. They have not lost in the division. They have, however, 3 losses on the road, but only in the conference they're 5-2, tied with Tampa Bay. Minnesota 6-2 in conference, and the Eagles they're 5-1 in conference. Hopefully they're 5-2. Well, depending on which way you look at it, Ben, but hopefully they're 5-2 after Sunday night. Maybe the Packers stay mathematically alive, but we'll see. But yeah, so the best team, if you had to pick the team right now that is going to be a representative, we'll just say in the NFC and the AFC championship games, I think the NFC is a little bit easier to predict than the NFC or than the AFC. I think Kansas City and probably Buffalo are going to be the top 2 teams. Although Buffalo has faltered, I still believe Buffalo is the most talented. And I think Buffalo gets a win again this week. Now, Detroit's at home. They're feeling good. Detroit has suddenly found some kind of, Detroit, by the way, by the way, don't look now. Detroit is 2nd in the division. And they have now won 3 straight. Oh, how about that? The Detroit Lions have now won 3 straight. They're still sitting under 500. They're 4-6, but they have now won 3 straight. So they're rolling a little bit. They're going to get a Buffalo team on Thursday at Ford Field. But Detroit, I don't think Detroit's going to catch Minnesota for the division, obviously. But Detroit is 4-6, and they're 1 loss better than the Green Bay Packers. They are in 2nd right now in the division. Packers sitting at 3rd, 4-7, and the Bears only 1 game behind them at 3-8. The Bears have lost 4 straight. The Packers, obviously, after the Cowboys, they've only lost one game. They don't have a record or a streak going of losses, but you hope that they can overcome that on Sunday night. So if you're going to pick the NFC representatives, the NFC Championship game, Ben, who is it? Is it Dallas and Philly?
It feels like Eagles and 49ers at this point. Niners have averaged, I think, 9 more points since trading for McAfee than they were previously. Right. And they look scary. And their defense, that's what gets me, is when they get to the playoffs, I know that defense will show up. Dallas is like, they're good, but history has told us for my whole lifetime that they don't make it to NFC championship games, no matter what situation they're in entering the playoffs. So it feels like Eagles-Niners, especially if the Eagles get the 1 seed and have to host those games. Then the AFC, I'm with you. It still feels like Chiefs-Bills, but the Dolphins are still growing on me.
Yeah, the Dolphins, it's like the Dolphins, it's one of those teams that's been perpetually bad for a while now, and you don't know if you should believe in them yet or not. But the weaponry they have, you can certainly believe in. But I look at Buffalo by far the biggest point differential in all the National Football League. Yeah, and it's not even close. They're 107. They're plus 107 in point differential. Oddly enough, in that division, New England is plus 44. Baltimore plus 49. Cincinnati plus 50. Cincinnati, by the way, expected to get Jamar Chase back this weekend. And then you've got Kansas City plus 67. I still think the AFC is a collision course of Buffalo and Kansas City. Just my opinion, but I think that they're on that collision course. 877-867-1670. David in Green Bay, hang in there. I'm going to get to you when we come back. Stay tuned, because I promise I'll come right to you right away. Stay tuned. Going to go ahead and take a quick break. We got a lot more to get to. Best teams in the National Football League. Talking a little bit about that right now. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Cool weather, brisk winds, and a hot deal. Hi, this is Gina Della from Pella. Is your home ready for winter weather? Don't wait. Right now, put no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 2 years. When it's cold outside, thanks to Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, you'll be warm and toasty inside. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin can be installed in as little as a day, with little to no disruption to your family or your home. Plus, you'll get expert advice from our Pella specialists, professional installation by Pella's certified installers, and the excellent service our customers have come to expect. And Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin has products and warranty offers you won't find anywhere else. Don't wait for the heating bills to start piling up. Right now, put no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 2 years at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Expires 11/30/2022. Certain exclusions and restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers return to practice tomorrow to prepare for the Eagles in Philadelphia Sunday night. Now, inside the Packers locker room, the team's still sorting out why they lost to the Titans after beating the Cowboys just a few days before. Packers defensive back Jair Alexander.
It's tough coming off a really good win, to come out and play inconsistently on both sides of the ball. It's tough, we got to do better. Win or go home at this point. So, every game is a playoff game. Every game is the Super Bowl for us. So that's how we got to attack it now.
The Eagles staged a come-from-behind victory on the road to beat the Colts 17-16 in regulation, led by quarterback Jalen Hurts.
I feel like there was never a doubt. I feel like there are a lot of things that we can learn from. We had positive plays. There weren't any turnovers. I think that's the formula for us as an offense, as we've shown throughout this point of the season.
Philadelphia improved to 9-1. The Packers are now 4-7. Matt LaFleur asked, with just 6 games left, what is Green Bay fighting for?
I think you're always fighting for something. Every team has the same goal coming into the season. And I think for some, it's more realistic than others. And I think we were one of those teams that definitely believed. And I'm not saying that it can't happen, but we're going to have to play a hell of a lot better. We're going to have to coach a hell of a lot better. And just truly take it that one game at a time. And you're always fighting for something. You're always fighting for your job. Always. Every time you go out there. That's always going to be the mindset. Whether you're in the race or not, to me, you're always fighting for your job.
That's Matt LaFleur. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on The Bill Michaels Show.
Got somebody in your life that is a car person, a motorcycle person, a speed person. I'm telling you, Great Lakes Dragaway. Down in Union Grove, Wisconsin, down in Racine, Kenosha, down in that area, the Union Grove area. Great Lakes Dragaway, they have the 2023 season passes on sale right now and a calendar that is filling up. Go to GreatLakesDragaway.com. That's GreatLakesDragaway.com. Pick a lane. Head down to Great Lakes Dragaway and tear it up in the quarter. There you go. All new asphalt down there, too. Good stuff. As I promised, Dave from Green Bay, you're first out of the chute. Dave, what's going on today, man? How you doing?
Hey, Bill, good morning. Thank you for taking the call. Happy holidays to you and yours and the staff and everybody down there.
I appreciate it.
A couple of things. Love Rick Ocasek in the cars. That's a great, great thing. So that was it kind of brought me back.
Awesome.
Quickly, I want to make two qualifications that maybe you could jump on and then make a point if you'll give me a little latitude here in the next 90 seconds. I haven't seen the Get Up yet. I'm almost home. I'm retired from the full-time job, but I still do the side hustle in the morning.
Sure.
Okay, right of refusal or whatever you had said in regards to Rodgers' contract next year. I could be wrong, but I think his only right of refusal. He does not have a no trade. I guess his only refusal would be to retire. And my opinion, he's not going to walk away from $50 million. And then the second qualification with the Packers, with Love, he's coming into his 4th year as a first round to 5th year option. They don't have to extend him next year. They could hold him and make him play for the $3 million.
Correct.
And then wait for an existing offer. Other than that, gosh, I don't know where your career was, but I was still in radio back in 2003. And I remember when Brett broke his thumb down in Madison. And I guess just from an offensive standpoint, Amon Green had an unbelievable year, 1,950 yards, 1,800 plus rushing, 50 catches, and 400 passing.
Mm-hmm.
I just wonder if we have a problem with Rodgers' thumb. I'm just wondering why we didn't bring in like that heavy load on the offensive line and really start using what I call our definitive offense, which is running. We're here where we're at. We're what? We're 4-7. When we lose, well, I'm not going to say, hey, the Saudis beat Argentina and Messi today, so anything could happen.
Yeah, okay.
But if we lose to Philly, like I believe we will, we're basically going to be out of it. So if Rodgers' thumb is a deal, I mean, whatever excuse you might make or move that they would consistently understand, it's time to play Jordan Love.
Mm-hmm.
Because, okay, he's been a backup. He knows the offense. We put the time and effort into him. Give him 4, give him the last 5 games, whatever. Let's see what we got in him. And you know what? If Rodgers doesn't like it, well, that's just the way it is. I remember back in 2008 when there were people fighting on the sidelines when Brett was going to be issued out of town and the decision was made for Aaron Rodgers. Long story short, we got to play and we got to know what Love might have or could have, either to have as our new quarterback or at least to get something out of him in a trade, because until he plays, we're never going to know. We've got young wide receivers. If the season is over, let's use that. Let's move forward. Let's see what we got with, and I know this, I'm going to get hate. I'm going to get hate on this. I know for sure, but let's see what we got in Love one way or the other. And let's move forward. And, then we make a decision. And I like the fact you mentioned Jets and the Colts. Hey, I wouldn't be too surprised if the 49ers, and this would be the strangest thing with Jimmy Garoppolo. He's just not that. He's sexy. He's great looking. I'm confident as a guy, but he's just not that guy. But he's good enough to win ball games. And now he's put himself in the position next year to literally pick and choose and where he wants to go. So I'll just throw it out there and just say that I wouldn't be too surprised if the 49ers don't make a deep run. And also if the 49ers with Trey Lance, because they've got a lot invested, but he's a rookie. He's a rookie contracted guy that there couldn't be something happening between the Packers and the 49ers with Rodgers, as you'd mentioned.
I just don't know. Dave, appreciate it, man. Thanks for taking a listen. I certainly appreciate all that. First of all, going back to the no trade clause, I still think if Rodgers, unless there was some kind of a blockbuster deal, they would still give the courtesy to Rodgers to say, hey, this is what's going on. I just believe that because of everything that's been said about them. They're trying to tread lightly. Secondly, when it comes to Jordan Love, no, they don't owe him anything but next year. You're right, which is $3.9 million, I believe. But the number has been thrown out there that if Love were to sign, that if they believe that he has starting quality talent, that it would be upwards of anywhere from $15 to $20 million because he would be then the incumbent starter. And because the number has gone up exponentially for quarterback play, which, by the way, the NFLPA is also filing a grievance saying that no guaranteed contracts have been given to quarterbacks ever since the Deshaun Watson deal, meaning Lamar Jackson, who was trying to get a fully guaranteed deal and can't, that they now believe there's collusion throughout the NFL for not giving out guaranteed contracts. That's a whole other story. But there is the thought that then Jordan Love would dictate a certain amount of money anywhere between, say, 12, 15, $17 million up to 20. And there's no way they're going to pay Aaron Rodgers his money plus Jordan Love his money. So that was part of that discussion. So you're right. They could just pay him next year and say, we're going to let the chips fall where they may, and we'll see what happens. Because after that, he becomes an unrestricted free agent. So we'll see what happens in that realm. They do have that 5th-year option, I believe. I think they can pick up that 5th-year option. I'm not positive, though. Let's do this. We're going to step out. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We got Rob Reichel coming up here in just a little while. We're going to talk with Rob from Conley Media, Forbes.com, covering the Green Bay Packers. We're going to talk with him. Going to get back into phone calls. We got a lot more to get to. So got a lot of good stuff coming up today. And don't forget, coming up tomorrow night, going to be down at the Mecca Sports Bar and Grill down there in the Deer District. Tomorrow night, it is brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. They're the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. And it's the Bill Michaels Huddle tomorrow night. We're going to be hanging out down there with our pre-Thanksgiving Day feast going on as we sit back, relax, talk a little football, talk about the weekend, talk about the games coming up on Thursday as you hunker down and get your tryptophan on and kick back and relax and unbuckle the pants a little bit and just sit back, rest, and relax during the turkey day off. But again, tomorrow night, going to be down at the Deer District, the Mecca Sports Bar and Grill, all brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. 1 hour down, 3 yet to go. Good day today. Good day. Stick around. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's all coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
With the Packers sitting at 4-7 on the year and preparing to face the Philadelphia Eagles for Sunday Night Football, head coach Matt LaFleur addressed his team on where they go from here with 6 games left.
Yeah, we are in a really tough spot. The message that I articulated to our team is every game, it's a one-game season from here on out. Every game is absolutely critical, and they all are. But just in particular, where we are today, there's no margin for error. We've got to get a lot of things corrected, and we've got to look at some of the things that we're asking of our players and making sure that it's just, again, some of those repeat mistakes, whether it's offense or on defense or on teams. Just can't have them happen.
To Wisconsin football, the Badgers will be getting at least 2 of its seniors back for another season. Running back Ches Malusi and cornerback Alexander Smith each said yesterday they would be using the free year the NCAA gave players for the COVID-impacted 2020 season. Up next for the Badgers, it's their final regular season game when they host the Minnesota Golden Gophers at Camp Randall Saturday at 2:30.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
If you're interested in a rewarding career with a strong Wisconsin company, Rural Mutual Insurance is looking to add to their growing team of successful employees and agents. Apply online today at ruralmutual.com/careers.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Powered by 37 points from Giannis Antetokounmpo in the third quarter, where the Bucks outscored the Trailblazers 30-18. Milwaukee would beat Portland 119-111. And finally, Wisconsin basketball gets underway in the battle for Atlantis tomorrow when they take on Dayton at 12:30. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
To us in Viroqua, the mighty WBRQ. Maybe in Marshfield, WOSQ, Rice Lake. Good to have them on board. Menominee, Marinette, Shawano, Clintonville, Milwaukee, the Big 920, all over the place. Good to have you on board today. Good stuff. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at the Sunset Grill out there on Pewaukee Lake. Coming up tonight, they got bingo tonight. Every Tuesday night, 7 to 9, hosted by Jacqueline Jill. They're all going to be there tonight. It is Drag Bingo. Drag Bingo. Head out to the Sunset Grill on Pewaukee Lake tonight for some Drag Bingo. There you have it. 877-867-1670. Talking about the Green Bay Packers and about the situation they're in and moving forward. And we were talking about the teams in the NFC, the AFC, the most likely representation in an NFC championship game and an AFC championship game. San Francisco looked pretty impressive last night, 38-10. They knocked off the Arizona Cardinals easily last evening. It wasn't even much of a game down in Mexico. Boy, they were hyped up, though. Oh, fans in Mexico, man, turned out last night. They always do, whether it's, over in Germany, over in London, down in Mexico last night. The fans turned out in big numbers last night, and they were enthusiastic about it. 877-867-1670. That's the phone number. You hit us up over on Twitter at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. Find us on the Facebook fan page. Go to facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show. There's YouTube, just simply Bill Michaels Show on YouTube, Bill Michaels Show on Twitch. You can subscribe there, absolutely free. And you can also find us on Apple iTunes. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Google Podcasts after the show. Let's head to the phone calls. Talk to our buddy Gerard in Delaware. Gerard, what's going on, man? How you doing today?
Hey, Bill. Who's to say the Dolphins won't be this year's Bengals? Looks
Could
like
be.
that,
Could be.
it?
They've got the weapons to do it. Yep.
It's sort of eerie like that. Bill, I want to talk about that Aikman thing too. What he said, and and how people are getting on him because he called that guy out on in Arizona that did the Jair thing, and it was even more blatant. I mean, it's a great call what Aikman did, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to call it as you see it.
Yep.
But the thing with Rodgers is you have to really put your GM hat on and figure this whole thing out if he should be traded after this season, and what you can get in the whole bit. Now the Jets, think about this, Bill. Something a little now who had number 12 with the Jets? He can't go there and wear number 12, can he?
Oh, I think they'd give him anything if he ended up with the Jets. Then again, if it ends up as horrifically
Joe
as
Namath's number?
I think even Joe Namath would figure, hey, if you can get us to a Super Bowl, maybe Joe would give it back. But remember, the last time a Green Bay Packer quarterback went to the New York Jets, it didn't end well.
Yeah, but they were pretty good for a while with him, though.
Yeah,
I mean, for several games they played well, So, but look, how would it affect? Now you got to put your GM hat on, Bill, and I know you're very good at this. Would you do it if you could get 2 number 1s, 2 number 2s, and a player from the Jets? Would you do it?
Yes.
I would too.
Yeah, and here's the reason why is because if you're at a tipping point, you're either going to go all in on a rebuild or you're going to go all in on Aaron Rodgers. So if you've made the determination that you're going to make a trade, I'm taking the most I can possibly get for him.
And they can't. People have to realize, us Packer fans, we don't trade him. We know he's a great player. We know that. Okay, and he was. But the thing is, what are you going to surround him with next year? You're up against it. You're going to have to get rid of 5. Look at the unrestricted free agent list. There must be 20 guys on it, and probably 5 of them you really can't lose, but you're going to have to lose. Plus, you're going to have to cut guys. You can't do it. This thing is so screwed up, you can't do it. And if you can pay Love $3 million, I agree with the last caller what he was saying, by the way. But if you can pay Love $3 million, okay, and then surround him and trade Rodgers and surround him next year and put a better defense on the field. But Bill, it all comes down to, do you have faith in the GM and the coach? You see what I mean?
That's the next question.
This is what
that's a great point.
Bill.
That's a great point. And the point is that if you're going to go young, then you keep your coach. If you stay with what you've got, do you believe your coach has control of the team?
Yeah. I'd love to hear people talk about this. And Rob Reichel especially, because I think Rob Reichel is for trading Rodgers. I think he is. So
yeah.
But I'm really, there's so much, Bill, to look at here. It's not just like one thing or even 2 things.
Right.
It's a big, big ball of wax, Bill.
Right.
You know?
I would agree. Yep.
Well, you have a great Thanksgiving, Bill.
All right, buddy. You too. We'll talk to you soon. That's our buddy Gerard listening to us. Now, he's right in the sense that you got to look forward because you've got Lazard and Watkins. Now, either one of those guys, maybe you would keep Lazard. I can't imagine keeping Watkins. But is Lazard going to want more than $4 million a year? Ben, would you keep either one of those guys? Because they're going to be unrestricted free agents going into next season, or when the season comes to an end going into the offseason. Either one of those guys you want back?
Likely not.
Probably not. The 2 guys you have to make a decision on, Yosh Nijman and Elton Jenkins. Both of those guys are currently starting for you. Now, Bakhtiari His contract runs through, 2024, but you're going to owe him next year close to $30 million. There's no way you're going to pay that. So would you dare lose? And I can't imagine they would do this. You got to keep Elton Jenkins. You most likely will keep Yosh Nijman. Yosh Nijman's making under $1 million. He's only making like $900,000. So you would probably give Nijman an extension, give Elton Jenkins an extension, and David Bakhtiari would probably go by the wayside. And I'm trying to think who else, because you got then you got a lot of the guys. You got like Jonathan Ford and Keyshawn Nixon, Dallin Levitt. Those guys, they're all unrestricted free agents at the end of the year as well. But you got decisions to make. You got to pay some of these guys, and you've already got money wrapped up in Aaron Rodgers. You got money wrapped up in David Bakhtiari. Yeah, and you got, obviously Cobb has his decision to make. He's got a 1.3 cap hit or something like that, I think is what it is. Maybe I could be wrong on that. But he's got money that could possibly go to him, but chances are you probably wouldn't bring him back unless he's willing to come back for the $1 million. You got, I agree. Gerard's right. You got a lot of things that you have to think about what direction you're going to take this team and how much money is allocated. Because next year it's $31.6 million for Rodgers next year, 40.7 the year after that, and then 60 the year after that. Now you can get out of it in a couple of years, but you get my point. Your window is yay big. And so do you go all in and keep the talent around them and then go out and get yourself an additional wide receiver or two or whatever? Or do you just say, you know what? It's time. We're just busting this whole thing up. That's it. That's the big decision. And I still believe Rodgers is coming back. He's coming back next year. I still believe that. So they're going to have some decisions to make. Mark says, what about Aaron Jones? No, Aaron Jones, he's owed a lot of money next year. So you got to figure out what you're going to do there too. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. John says, no way I'm paying Aaron Rodgers that kind of money. Not going to have protection up front. Not going to have a lot of weapons to throw to. You either have to go all in and find him the guys, or you have to move on. See, that's for lack of a better term, that's the decision you're going to be making if you're Brian Gutekunst at the end of the year. I still think you got another run in you. You got one more. But you got to believe that all the pieces will be in place, that you can put the pieces around Aaron Rodgers, that you can keep the offensive line stable, that the coach and the coaching staff, for the most part, short of maybe a defensive coordinator, are the guys. You had a shift. You had Nathaniel Hackett leave, Luke Getsy leave. You had all these guys leave. And then you had obviously the move up, of your line coach and such to an offensive coordinator position. Guys are just they're getting into their role. So now they're going to have that season under their belt. Do things get better? Does Stenovich and company get better? Does that offensive line and the treatment of that line and the way they work that line, does that get better? And then you hit the ground running going into 2023. I don't know. Because right now it just looks extremely ugly. And a lot of that could have to do with the thumb, because we all know there's been many years that have gone by that you only go as far as Aaron Rodgers is going to take you. And this probably was going to be one of those years had he not injured the thumb. But here's the thing. And would you agree with me in the sense they didn't look good in London? This wasn't like it was a team that was just setting the world on fire and all of a sudden they get to London, he hurts the thumb, and they were just bad ever since. Right, Ben? I mean, it wasn't like this team was setting the world on fire and lighting it up prior to London.
Oh, they were quite poor.
That's what I'm saying.
They were a very unimpressive 3-1.
Right. Going into London, you're right. They were 3-1. They were getting by. They beat Bailey Zappi at home, a third stringer with the Patriots. And that was a 3-point overtime win. I gave them credit. Their signature win of the season was, up until the Cowboys win, was the Tampa Bay win. Regardless of what you think about Tampa Bay and such now, but to go down there and get a win and to beat Brady and such and to kind of get that monkey off your back a little bit, it was ugly. It was 14-12. They only scored 14 points. The win that was, obviously prior to that was the 27-10 win over the Bears, and that was quite handily and easy. And then they got shellacked, obviously, by the Vikings prior to that. But it wasn't like it was a barn burner of a season, and then Rodgers hurt the thumb, and then all went to hell. Because that was the last play of the game. They were already beaten in London coming back home. Since that injury, they scored 10 against the Jets, 21 against the Commanders, 17 against the Bills, 9 against the Lions. And then out of nowhere comes a 31-point explosion against the Cowboys, and then right back to where they can't get past 20 this past week against the Tennessee Titans on Thursday Night Football. It's been just a really weird year. Just has. We're going to talk more about the weirdness and what's upcoming in his thoughts. Rob Reichel, Forbes.com, Conley Media. He's going to be joining us. We're going to talk with him about all that is the Green Bay Packers. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. And I tell you, I run down there now that it's cold out. I run down there every morning to make sure, and man, that thing's right at 70 degrees. The room doesn't fluctuate anymore. The door makes all the difference in the world. I love it. Absolutely love it. Positively love it. No interest, no money down, no payments, 2 years. Go to PellaWI.com, whether it's patio doors, windows, entryways, whatever it happens to be. You can pick your hardware. You can pick your trim. You can pick slider windows, roll screens. Whatever it is your heart desires, they've got something for everybody. Go to PellaWI.com. That is PellaWI.com, or call them 855-PELLA-WI. That's 855-PELLA-WI. We're going to talk with Rob Reichel. That's next on the Bill Michaels Show.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Life's about taking the road less traveled, and doing it in style, well, that makes it even better. Take the Tahoe. This November, Potawatomi is giving away not one, but 2 Chevy Tahoes. Just play with your club card and you could win a brand new Chevy Tahoe or your share of over $400,000 in cash and prizes. Your win is waiting. Take the Tahoe. Only at Potawatomi. Visit paysbig.com/Tahoe for more. Must be 21 years old and a club member to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Line up for the Thanksgiving feast. So stop into Robert's Specialty Meats and see what he's got, because I know he was doing some orders down there, but also he had some in stock. So check out Robert's Specialty Meats, Waukesha.com. That's Robert's Specialty Meats, Waukesha.com. And make sure you tell Paul, say, hey, Paul, and tell him we sent you. Joining us now on the hotline, our buddy Rob Reichel, at Rob Reichel, over on Twitter. You can find him, Forbes.com, Conley Media, some Packers coverage there. Rob, how you doing, buddy?
Good morning, Billy. Happy early Turkey Day.
You too, my friend. So we're going to feast. We're going to enjoy ourselves. And thank God we've got enough time between Turkey Day and Sunday night to kind of settle. So maybe we don't have to watch another abysmal performance by the Green Bay Packers. But give me your thoughts right now where this team is, because, we talk about, Aaron Rodgers and the possibility of a broken thumb. We talk about play calling. The defensive coordinator stinks. I mean, there's so many different things that we could go into right now.
Well, I mean, you certainly hit a few of them. I think some key ones to watch down the stretch, and maybe the most important thing, Billy, is I think if they held the draft today, the Packers would have the 10th overall pick. And I think that's going to be a fascinating thing to watch on play here and kind of unfold over the last, what do we have, 6 games left, so a month and a half because of the bye. Billy, if they turn this thing over to Jordan Love, and this could be a fascinating development. If they turn this over to Jordan Love, say in 2 weeks, let's say they give Rodgers, Philly, and Chicago. And now, even if they split those, so now they're 5-8, and they say, all right, in theory, we've been mathematically eliminated in almost every scenario possible. Let's see what we have for the last month in Jordan Love. And that's a Gutekunst mandate down to Matt LaFleur. And it doesn't go well, Bill. I mean, they could easily climb up the draft board, end up 5-12, 6-11, something like that. And now we're talking, do you take a quarterback? Because you just learned over the final month of the season, maybe Jordan Love isn't your guy long term. Mm-hmm. You're probably not married to Rodgers much longer. There's no guarantee he'll even be back in 2023. And we all know what a ridiculously good quarterback draft this is going to be coming up, obviously led by, Stroud at Ohio State and the Heisman Trophy winner from last year at Alabama. And I mean, there's terrific quarterbacks at the top of this draft, Billy. And let's say the Packers move up into that 4, 5, 6, 7 range, they might have a chance at one. And that could be a really interesting development. So, Bill, I think the big thing for this team moving forward, I mean, let's be honest, I think they're sitting, in a tie for 11th right now in the NFC with 2 other teams. So really, you could call them as low as 13th in the conference, barring a major, major miracle. They're not making the postseason. I think the last 6 weeks are important to look at some of these young guys here within a week or two, play it out the final month where we see more of the Jordan Loves, the Samari Tourés, some of these young draft picks that are on the roster and get a feel if they're part of the future and kind of Green Bay will have a better concept and grasp and understanding going into the offseason of maybe who's going to be part of this thing moving forward, because I think you're going to see a dramatically different looking roster, Billy, when we get to 2023.
Okay, let's move forward to 2023. We were talking about Elton Jenkins coming up, Josh Neiman coming up. You've obviously got Alan Lazard, Sammy Watkins. You would assume both of those guys are going to be gone. You've got a lot of decisions to make on who you're going to keep, contracts you're going to extend, the way you're going to rework the whole cap situation. Obviously, David Bakhtiari. So what do you do going into next season if you're Brian Gutekunst?
Well, it obviously starts with the quarterback, right? I mean, they're going to have to get an answer by, from him probably by, let's call it mid-February. He can't diddle and dawdle around like Brett Favre did many of the off seasons. They're going to have to get some clarity from Aaron, within 4 to 6 weeks, I would say, Billy, after the season ends. His cap hit next year isn't terrible. I think it's about 32, but we all know that dead cap. We all know that dead cap sitting there is, the better part of 100, and whether they trade him or not factors in, and if they would do it after June 1. I mean, we won't bore the listeners with all the details of it, but if Aaron's not on the roster next year, there could be a severe, just an unbelievable cap hit, Billy. And if that's the case, you're probably looking then at going into full-fledged rebuild mode. I think no matter what, this offseason might be the time to move on from David Bakhtiari. I think he's 29 or 30 against the cap next year. He does have a dead cap hit of like 23, Billy, but you'd still save $6 or $7 million then on Bakhtiari, and then you're moving on from that contract. So, if that's the case, then you've got to lock up Yash, and then you've got to lock up Elton Jenkins. Safety is going to be a big issue, Bill, because I don't think Darnell Savage is probably part of the safety duo moving forward. I think they will probably stick with this plan of trying to turn him into a slot corner, a nickel guy maybe. And if that's the case, I mean, Adrian Amos is a free agent, but he's also pushing. I think he turns 30 this offseason, Billy. Do you give him a third contract? He's definitely lived up to that first one, that 4-year, $36 million deal they gave him, 4 years back. So he's definitely the best safety on the roster. I mean, they're going to have some tough ones, right? It's Jenkins, it's Amos, it's Yash, it's Bobby Tunyon, like you said, who still hasn't maybe made it all the way back from that torn ACL. Alan Lazard, right? Is he just a guy? Do you move forward with just these young guys? Randall Cobb. If Aaron Rodgers is back, is he still pushing for Randall Cobb? Dean Lowry's part of that group, Billy. Mason Crosby's part of that group. It's a lot of unrestricted free agents. I mean, they're going to probably have to wave goodbye to at least half of them, if not more. And some of that is going to clearly be their choice, that they're going to want to go younger and cheaper at certain spots, like I would assume at kicker and maybe defensive end where Dean Lowry is in places like that. But Bill, the biggest domino in the whole thing is going to come down to what the quarterback wants to do when the season is over.
My next question regarding that is how, like you said, just a couple of weeks. That's about how long you're going to give Aaron Rodgers to what do you do? Let's just say Rodgers says, well, I'll let you know before the draft or before free agency. Can you wait that long this year? I don't think you can.
No, and that's why I said 4 to 6, Billy. You can, which puts you somewhere probably in that mid to later February range, right? Because I think they finished the year January 7th with the Lions. And so if you give them 6 weeks, now you're looking at, let's call it the 20th of February, for example, before you go to the combine. You might have an answer exactly what it is, Aaron wants to do. I'm with you. Free agency is typically in that March 15th range. I don't think you can give Aaron, 2.5 months to make a call on whether he's back or not, because you're going to want to have your books in line by the time clearly you get to free agency, and have to make some tough choices here on some of these guys like we talked about. David Bakhtiari, Aaron Jones's contract is going to spike dramatically next year. He goes to about $20 million a season. Bill, I mean, do they move on from him and turn it over to Dylan, or do they get Aaron Jones to kind of rework that number? I mean, I'll be honest, Aaron Jones is their best player. He's, can you go back-to-back seasons with losing Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones? I just don't know how you can function offensively if Aaron Jones isn't on the roster, Billy. I mean, so they're going to probably, if they want him back, I don't think he can be back at that number, but Aaron Jones is probably worth close to that number right now, Billy. So how much wiggle room and flexibility do you get there from Aaron Jones? But back to your question on Rodgers. Now you can't let that thing linger into March with him being undecided on his future. And I think Aaron will make a call pretty quickly. I don't think he's going to hold the organization hostage when it's all said and done. I think he'll take a month, kind of get his head together and clear and figure out what the future of this organization looks like. And as he gets, closer and closer to 40, Billy, whether or not he wants to be part of it.
Talking with Rob Reichel of Forbes.com, Conley Media. You can read his books and such. Yeah, go to Rob Reichel, at Rob Reichel over on Twitter. Rob, I want to ask you now about the coaching. Let's start, obviously, with Joe Barry and the defensive coordinator. Most people seem to think that at the end of the year, they got to move on, that there's got to be some other different philosophy other than what Joe Barry's bringing to the table. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that will happen. I didn't like the hire in the first place. When Jimmy Leonard stayed in Madison and turned down the job that Matt LaFleur really was hoping he would take, I don't want to say LaFleur panicked, but he went to one of his buddies, one of his guys he thought was maybe a proven commodity. Well, we all know the dreadful numbers that Joe Barry brought with him from his previous stops along the way, and the Detroit, Washington, places like that. And a lot of people wrote that off to strictly talent. And, well, I'll be honest. I think Green Bay has top 5 talent right now among their defensive people, even though they've lost Rashawn Gary here. Comparatively speaking, injury-wise across the league, the Packers have been just fine through the course of 2022. There is no reason, Bill, that this group ranks 16th in scoring and 14th in total defense. There's too much talent at every single level. And when you watch games like Tennessee, where you're into week 11 of the regular season, and they're still having these gaps in the back,
right,
these communication breakdowns, these mistakes where guys don't know who's covering who and what route and what player they're supposed to pick up on simple crossing routes and things like that. Bill, this stems back to week 1, right? When they made the dramatic mistake of playing zone against Justin Jefferson, right, and they can't stop the run that I know they did the other night against Tennessee, but they sold out. They paid the price on the back end. Bill, 11 weeks into a season, they shouldn't have new problems cropping up week after week after week, and that's been a consistent theme with Joe Barry. I'll be honest, I was a Mike Pettin guy. I saw no reason to move on from him. Clearly, there were some things internally and all that, but Mike Pettin had gotten this defense into the top 10, Bill, 2 years ago with far less talent, I would say, than what Joe Barry's working with right now. And the fact that they are pretty mediocre, in every category across the board, from total defense scoring, I think they're 17th in sacks, Bill. I mean, they are the picture of mediocrity. And when you look at that group with what they're paying certain guys, where guys were drafted,
right,
and the type of resumes that some of these guys had coming into the year, there is no reason that's a mediocre unit. So somebody's going to pay the price, and rightfully so. It's going to be Joe Barry.
Okay, before I let you go, now give me your thoughts, because I don't think, for everybody that says, you got to get rid of Matt LaFleur, he's losing the team, I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he's going to get another year to kind of figure this thing out. If it goes dismally bad next year, then maybe they just clean house and make a whole new change. But I think Matt LaFleur is back. But do you get the sense that Matt LaFleur is hanging on as this, because he had to come in immediately and massage the ego of Aaron Rodgers. They were trying to build that relationship. We've seen Rodgers kind of dress him down on the sidelines a couple of times, and you haven't seen that same grabbing a hold of the team as we saw in years past. And now he just seems like he's fighting just to kind of keep the locker room. What are your thoughts on Matt LaFleur?
Well, specifically to your first question, he'll be back. I mean, you don't go 39-10 and go to 2 NFC championship games and the divisional playoffs in your first 3 years, and then have one stinker of a season. And who knows? They still have 6 games left. I mean, they could get to the 500 range, I guess, when it's all said and done. I don't think that's going to happen. But let's say it winds up being a stinker, Bill. He has plenty of house credit built up where he is. Mm-hmm. He will definitely see the 5th year of his tenure here in Green Bay, and they'll have to get some things cleaned up. Not just Joe Barry. I think Adam Stenovich is safe because it's only year 1 of him as the offensive coordinator, Billy, but they're going to have to look closely at how that thing, absolutely unfolded too, because, it's been a long time since the Packers have ranked 26th in scoring offense, at 18 points a game. That's just a dreadful number. And I don't care if they had young wide receivers and older guys that weren't very good and all that kind of stuff. 18 points a game in the NFL just doesn't cut it. So LaFleur is going to have to examine that coaching staff pretty closely too, top to bottom, Billy. But I am with you. He does look like a guy who's fighting to keep control of his football team right now. When the quarterback cusses him out on the sideline, when the quarterback walks right past him, when LaFleur's trying to have a conversation with Rodgers. I don't think it's come close, Bill, to him losing the locker room or anything like that. But I do think it's a situation where Matt hurt himself earlier in the season when Aaron went on the McAfee show and ripped some teammates, and not by name, but certainly ripped the performances, started calling for, playing time being cut for certain guys and things like that. I thought that was the perfect time for Matt LaFleur to grab the bull by the horns and say, I'm in control of this football team, not the quarterback. The quarterback doesn't make decisions on, whether or not this guy gets 15 snaps or 50. I make those decisions. And Matt missed a golden opportunity right there to say, I'm the leader of this football team, not number 12. And it has been dysfunctional since then, Bill. There's no question about it. So, I mean, it's a critical time in the young coaching career of Matt LaFleur. And we'll see where it goes from here, Billy. But there's no question to me he's back for year 5.
Rob, you the man. That's why I have you on. Enjoy the Turkey Day, and we will talk again real soon, okay?
All right. Always fun. Thanks, Billy.
Appreciate it, pal. There you go. Long time with Rob Reichel, but, man, great stuff. Great stuff. Find him at Rob Reichel over on Twitter. At Rob Reichel over on Twitter. He joined us on the hard line. This portion of the program brought to you by our good friends at Boondocks Barbecue, Burgers, and Brews. They are right there in Stone Bank, which is Oconomowoc, as a matter of fact. County Road K in Oconomowoc. And they got a holiday bonus card right now, $5 bonus card. With every $25 gift purchase, you get a $5 bonus card. Boondocks has the card that counts this holiday season. Check out Boondocks Barbecue, Burgers, and Brews, County Road K. Stop in, tell them we said hi. Good place while you're out there doing a little shopping. Maybe take a load off, get yourself some lunch, get yourself some dinner, get yourself a beverage, enjoy yourself a little bit, and get a stocking stuffer for those that live in Lake Country and enjoy some good dining. Good stuff from our friends at Boondocks. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others. Time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or a pirate ship or a sports-themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine, a place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
There is a company in New Berlin, Wisconsin called Pindel, Pindel, and they are looking for quality people. They are looking for you. If you're looking for more than just a job, if you're looking for a career to be trained, 401k, great benefits and such, whether it's in robotics and such in the modern era or back in the old spindle type of quality manufacturing type of days. They've got both sets, and they're doing a lot of different things right now. And if you're a company looking to work with a great company based right here in Wisconsin, that's Pindel. Go to Pindel, Pindel.com. That is Pindel.com to see all that they have to offer. It was great to get Rob on. We were talking earlier, and one of our callers had mentioned the big upset today and the fact that the Saudis, Argentina lost to the Saudis in the World Cup. You know, Lionel Messi's side, they were upset. Big news today. Ben, were you like geeked over this? Were you just steaming about it?
You know me. I'm a big soccer guy,
Yeah,
obviously.
right.
Yeah, this is the most monumental upset I've ever seen in my life.
It is big. I will say that when it happened, I was watching, Facebook, and I'm watching Instagram and such, and man, it was blowing up big time. This actually happened. So people were like shocked that this went down.
Maybe that'll be the difference for Live Golf succeeding. Who knows?
Maybe
Saudis needed that one.
Yeah, they needed something. So we'll see. But that was the big news of the day coming out of the World Cup. We'll do, you know what? We'll do a little World Cup stuff tomorrow. I'll give my buddy a call. I'll give Zach a call and just say, hey, we're going to go do like World Cup 101 tomorrow for a segment of the show. We'll pick a segment and do it.
That'll be good because I have a bunch of takes about the U.S., but I clearly don't know enough about soccer to really unveil them.
Mm-hmm.
But they're hidden away, so I want to run them by someone at least at first.
Other news, did you see TMZ had put it out? Antonio Brown, what the hell is wrong with this guy? We always knew he was a nut anyway. But he posts a fake picture, a nude photo it's Photoshop. It's fake, but it's a nude Photoshopped picture of Giselle. And Antonio Brown continuing to kind of cross the line. This is a guy that at one point wanted to come back to the NFL. Tom Brady brought you into his home. He asked for you specifically. He helped you. Now, I don't know what went on maybe behind closed doors, but this guy, I mean, even as TMZ starts out their story by saying Antonio Brown continues to cross the line in the feud with Tom Brady. If TMZ is saying you cross the line, you really cross the line. I mean, big time. Big time. The ex-NFL receiver shared the image to his Snapchat yesterday showing Giselle's face edited on top of another woman's naked body. And they say it's just another example of Antonio Brown burning his Brady bridge to a crisp. He's completely turned his back on his former teammate in the recent months, despite TB12's continuous support throughout his off-field troubles. But just Antonio Brown, he will never find his way onto another NFL roster. Never. In anybody that even remotely suggests that, oh, by the way, he could probably help your team, you would have to be an absolute fool to think that this guy would do anything for your team before he would do anything for himself. Because it's just like, wow. Just beyond belief. But yeah, so he posted a fake picture of a naked Giselle. But what a bizarre nut. It's like watching a really bad car crash. Because he clearly has some type of mental health issues. Clearly. You just don't know to what severity, and you don't know. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but it's just bizarre behavior. Big time. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Good stuff with Rob Reichel. Randy says, so who would you bring back? Going back to when we were talking about the salary cap, I can get into this, but I look at it this way. Look, Rodgers, you're going to run him back. Maybe at the end of this season to leave a couple of weeks for Rodgers to kind of get the thumb rested. If indeed they're mathematically eliminated, you bring in Jordan Love, you let him get a look. But I think your offensive line is going to need a left tackle. Whether you believe that's Zach Tom or anybody else or somebody else that's out there, you're going to need a left tackle. I think David Bakhtiari's gone. You're going to rework Elton Jenkins' deal, Josh Nijman's deal. You're going to make it incredibly favorable to the team in the first year of those deals. So that way you're going to be cutting a little bit of salary rather than adding it. And I know I had a couple of questions about, well, with all the amount of money that they're over the salary cap going into next season, they're not terrible salary cap wise next season. If you extend out and because right now they're just like $3 million over the cap, $4 million over the cap. Remember, they were $40 million over the cap going into this season, and they were able to get it all down. Now they had to do a lot of shuffling, and they can certainly do that to get everybody in. But you would probably with maybe you do something to Kenny Clark's deal, Aaron Jones' deal, certainly, even though that's about the amount of money, $20 million is about the amount of money that he would be getting for that type of productivity. Maybe you extend that out. Jair going into next year is going to be up around, I think, $20 million. So maybe you can do some shuffling there. Preston Smith is $13 million, shuffle a little bit there. And after that, you got Devondre Campbell making about 8.2, Rashawn Gary making 10. You got to figure out what you're going to do with Adrian Amos. because he would be about $8 million against your cap at that point, if indeed you keep him for whatever amount of money and signing bonus and stuff comes with it. And then you kind of go from there. And then there is some restructuring you can do, but it just depends on what direction you're actually going to take the team. If you decide to go all in, then I think you go all in and you just kind of say, okay, you know, in the 2 years after that are going to be kind of thin years. But you're going to do it because you're going to make another run at it with what you believe to be. And we all know he's going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. You believe that you've got a quality quarterback, and once the thumb heals, he's going to be even better. But I really think that this offseason really relies on one thing. And I'll tell you what that is when we come back. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Best way to get a Packers game going? Give it some gas. Actually, give you some gas. It's the Quick Trip Opening Drive Sweepstakes. Win a $10 gas card for every yard earned on the Packers opening drive. 1 yard, $10. 50 yards, chug a lug for your vehicle. Oh, and if the Packers score on the opening drive, we'll throw you an extra $500. Just fuel up on Quick Trip's guaranteed gasolines. Use your Quick Rewards and you're entered. See quicktrip.com/sweepstakes for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers getting ready to face the Eagles in Philly on Sunday Night Football. Eagles GM Howie Roseman continues to make moves, adding Ndamukong Suh and former Vikings Linville Joseph after trading for the Bears' Robert Quinn, and coached by veteran defensive line coach Tracy Rocker. They were able to hold Wisconsin's Jonathan Taylor to under 100 yards in a 17-16 win at Indy. Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni.
We clawed, we scratched, we fought, and we kept going, and we won at the end. And so I think anytime your back's against the wall, a tribute to Coach Rocker and a tribute to Sue and a tribute to Linville, that they were able to do it. And that's, and obviously so appreciative to Howie and his staff for getting those guys in here.
The Eagles improved to 9-1. Green Bay struggled in that disappointing loss to the Titans last Thursday night. Matt LaFleur on what he told the team after slipping to a record of 4-7.
Well, I think you always got to be honest about where you're at. Yeah, we are in a really tough spot. The message that I articulated to our team is every game, it's a one-game season from here on out. Every game is absolutely critical. They all are. There's no margin for error. So we've got to get a lot of things corrected, and we've got to look at some of the things that we're asking of our players and making sure that it's just, again, some of those repeat mistakes, whether it's offense or on defense or on teams, just can't have them happening.
The Packers' Christian Watson now leads all rookie receivers in the league with 5 touchdown receptions last week. That tied a franchise record set by Hall of Famer James Lofton. Watson on what's next.
And we just got to find a way to dig deeper, find a way to do better, find a way to give more, and find a way to win.
That's Packers rookie wide receiver Christian Watson. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels.
Hey, if you're looking for some good Italian food in the western portion of Waukesha, all you got to do is find our buddy Joey Albanese, Albanese's Roadhouse right there on Blue Mountain Road next to Menards. Stop in. They still have the fall and winter bocce ball leagues that are going to be going on out there. If you want to do that socially, by all means, get a hold of them. Get a hold of Joey. Just stop in. Good place, good people, family owned, just a really good feel-good place in the western portion of Waukesha County. So stop in and tell them we said hi. Bucks last night, they got a win. Tomorrow night, like I was mentioning, we got the huddle down at the Deer District tomorrow night. It's gonna be rocking. The Bulls are in town. Night before Thanksgiving, the Bulls are in town tomorrow night. Bucks and Bulls tomorrow night, 7:00 tip time. We go on the air at 6 with the Bill Michaels huddle live from the Mecca in the Deer District. Come on by and say hello. And the Bucks take that 12-4 record, 9-1 by the way at the Fiserv Forum. And hopefully Giannis is making some free throws, and we'll talk more about that. We haven't really gotten into that discussion since that incident in Philadelphia, but we'll talk a little bit about that coming up. When I had mentioned there's one thing that the Packers need to do, I think more so than anything, going into this offseason, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what you have to do is there has to be, I'm not saying it's got to be a come to Jesus meeting, but I think there has to be, and Rob alluded to this, there's got to be a sit down at the end of the season, and you got to say, look, are you in? Within a couple of weeks, are you in? Because if you're in, we need you to be all in. If we're going to make this run, we're going to put this commitment. We've already paid you. We committed to you. What we're asking is that, look, we know you hate volunteer OTAs, mini camps, and all that kind of crap, but are you in? We need Aaron Rodgers of 5 years ago back. The guy that's all in, not the guy that's off doing certain things to keep himself fit, but the guy that is all in with the teammates, the guy that's all in the building blocks, the guy that's all in on working with the young guys, the guy that's all in with the coaching staff, we need that guy. And it's not to say that you're not now, I know you got to massage the ego, not to say that you're not now, but we need the guy that's all in. And because you can be all in, but if you're not there, you're not all in. You can't be all in from places unknown and say, let other people do the coaching work, and then I'll just come in and take over the good parts when I get there. Who am I? Because Aaron Rodgers has certainly earned the right to kind of do and say what he wants. Okay, we all agree on that. But just listening to many former players in many different facets, whether it's in one-on-ones, whether it's off mic, whether it's on roundtable television shows, whatever it happens to be, they all say, look, you need to be there. You're the guy. You're the leader. You need to be there and set that example. And then you lead everybody else, not only through your words, but then you're doing it through your example. Otherwise, it begins to ring hollow within a locker room. And I don't know if it is or not, but I think if you find out if he's all in, that's when you figure out if you're all in or not. If he's all in, he's there for OTAs, he's there for minicamp, he's there working with Matt saying, look, I've got 2-3 years left in my career, whatever it happens to be. This year, maybe, who knows? I want to go out with a bang. I want to go out with that trophy hoisted high, just like John Elway did. Here you go. Here's my ring, pointing at it like, Aaron Donald was. This is the way I want to go out. I think that's where you start, and then everything else trickles from there. That's where you make your determination on who you are and who you're not bringing back and why. 877-867-1670. 2 hours down, 2 to go. Stick around. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Quick Trip. They are the home of the opening drive contest for the Green Bay Packers. Stop in, fill up, type in your Quick Rewards card. You are then automatically registered. Your name could be drawn on Sunday night, and for every yard garnered on the Packers opening drive, you could get $10 and a gas card. And if they score, you can go up to $500. Good stuff from our friends at Quick Trip. Love Quick Trip. Love it. Love it. Good stuff. We got more coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, Wisconsin will try to get Paul Bunyan's Axe back this Saturday when they host Minnesota. Badgers fell in the Twin Cities last year, 23-13. Interim coach Jim Leonard says it was pretty clear what happened.
We already addressed it this morning. I think they out-physicaled us last year, and they finished, right? We had the lead going at halftime, and they finished. They made plays in the second half to swing the game and create momentum and put us on our heels, and we couldn't overcome it.
Leonard went 2-2 against the Gophers in his playing career, including a win over them in his senior day.
I've always respected this program. I don't like them, right? But I respect them because they have an identity. They know who they are, and they're going to force you to beat them, very similar to what we are. So it's going to be a fun experience on Saturday, and you need to get out of there with a win.
Wisconsin comes into the game 6-5. Minnesota 7-4. Kick is set for 2:30. Turning to the Packers, they're back in the field tomorrow. Start getting prepared for a trip to face the 9-1 Eagles. Green Bay has just one win in its last 7 games, leaving them 4-7 on the year. Winning out, likely the only chance they have to make the playoffs. Kick on Sunday is set for 7:25.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Well, the Bucs used a big third-quarter run to break open a tight game in a 119-111 win over Portland last night. Giannis Antetokounmpo had 37 points to lead the way for Milwaukee. Win moved them to 12-4 in the year, including an NBA best 9-1 at home. They'll host the Bulls tomorrow. And Wisconsin could open the battle for Atlantis tomorrow as they take on Dayton in the Bahamas. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heilprin.
Welcome back. Can't believe it's hour number 3 already of the Bill Michaels Show. Whoa, flying by today. Flying. Saying hi to Frank listening to us in Wausau. Saying get you on the Marshfield station every now and then. Got to get you back up here. Also, Greg listening to us in Tomahawk. Greg, it's a different Greg. It's not the owner of the radio station, Greg. It's a different Greg. Saying up here with the family, deer camp, and then Thanksgiving. Nothing better than Thanksgiving in the Northwoods. You know what? I've never had Thanksgiving in the Northwoods, but I can only imagine. I saw a lot of the snow that was in the Northwoods. Oh yeah. You had a little tracking snow. A lot of you had some success in the world of big buck hunting. So congratulations, but yeah, it's gotta be beautiful up there. Never been in the wintertime. I've tried to a couple times, and I wouldn't mind going up there for the pond hockey tournament. We talked about that going up in Minocqua and such, but have not had a chance to get up there into the February months to do any snowmobiling or anything like that. 877-867-1670. Speaking of a northern area, Peshtigo, our friends at Forgotten Fire Winery, and maybe tomorrow, or excuse me, maybe Thursday, you're going to head to Grandma's house or Aunt and Uncle's, Aunt Jean's, Uncle Bob's, whatever it happens to be, or maybe they're coming to your house. Look, if you're heading out and you got to bring a bottle of wine with you, stop in any grocery store, liquor store, wine store. Check out our friends at Forgotten Fire Winery. Forgotten Fire Winery. They offer a vast array of wines, award-winning wines too. But they just, as they say, it's fun in a bottle. So whatever it is you're going to pick up, just enjoy it. And don't forget about Forgotten Fire Winery out of Peshtigo. And if you're up in that area, stop into the winery this coming weekend and do yourself a little Christmas shopping there. Do a little wine tasting. Ask for Jake. You're good to go. That's ForgottenFireWinery.com. So Ben, they're going to keep this job position open for 7 days, I think. 7 days. They keep the job position. They posted the job yesterday for the head coach of the Wisconsin Badgers. After that, how soon do you expect a hire to be made, that they take the interim tag off of Jim Leonard?
Somewhat immediately. I would say Sunday is the most likely date. Oh, yeah. The whole purpose, I mean, the search has been ongoing for months behind the scenes, where they've reached out to coaches across the country. But usually when the program posts the job officially, then their mind's already made up. It's just something they legally have to go through.
Right. Sunday, yeah, because that's your last game. And then after that, you've got to wait and see where you're going to be going for bowls and all that kind of stuff, what your bowl bids are going to consist of. And after the conference tournament and all that, after the conference championship and such. So, yeah, I can see maybe Sunday, maybe a little bit after that at the latest. But, yeah, get it done. It's good for the team. It's good for Leonard. It's good for recruiting. You know, the stability there. Obviously, there's going to be some change in the coaching staff. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But I think it's good for the program. Get it done. Get it over with. Get the interim tag. And that way he is the full head coach going into whatever bowl game it is that you end up playing in, as you are now bowl eligible. And then you can kind of, have your, then you're not rudderless anymore when it comes to being a program. So,
yeah, I mean, more importantly, the transfer portal opens.
Yes.
And you have recruiting that Wisconsin has kind of taken some hits in light of Paul Chris getting fired, which is expected. Every program does when you fire a head coach.
Is it expected? Or are you a little bit surprised?
Oh, whenever a head coach gets fired, you expect players to then also leave. I think it's been positive that Wisconsin hasn't lost any big contributors on the team during the window where they were allowed to leave. We'll see if they do after the season ends. But the guys that entered the portal kind of made sense, but you kind of expect some movement to happen. They've negated a lot of it, but they have lost some commitments. I think a lot of that is how long they waited to hire Leonard.
And Cheddar Balls just says that, the Badgers aren't an appealing job nationally, not as much as we would like to think. I would disagree. And here's the reason why. It's the Big Ten. The Big Ten is going to expand. You are going to be when it comes to television markets, you're in New York and you're in LA and you're in Chicago. 3 of the largest television markets in the country, carrying some of the biggest television contracts in a conference that is growing, and it's basically in a battle with the SEC, a little bit of the Big 12, but the Big 12, once you lose Texas and Oklahoma, you're pretty much done, and they're going to go over to the SEC. So no, I think it's just the opposite. I think it is a very appealing job. As now, granted, when they get rid of the divisions, it's going to be a more difficult job, but to say that you are a head coach of a major college football program in the biggest or second biggest, depending on how you would judge it, conference in the country, no. I would say maybe Rutgers isn't as appealing. Maybe Northwestern's not as appealing. But to say Wisconsin, which got a tradition of football, it being a football school and a football state, no, I would disagree. Now, do I think it's Ohio State and Alabama? No. Do I think I don't even think it's probably on the same par with USC at this point. But with those teams coming into this conference, If you had to rank the powers of just football attractiveness in the Big Ten, Ben, we would probably say Ohio State, Michigan, Penn
by
State.
Most appealing jobs, or just by
by the biggest, shiniest, recognizable, appealing job programs. You would probably say Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, right? Those three.
Yep.
After that,
Wisconsin could slide in
that's
there.
what I'm saying. You'd probably put Wisconsin number 4.
I think there's an argument for Nebraska in terms of appealing jobs,
because Nebraska's got history, and they do have a national title to their name.
They have money.
Yes. So maybe,
and that's the big differentiator.
Maybe Nebraska at number 4, and then Wisconsin at number 5.
But the thing is, with a coach in Nebraska, your job security is a lot less. There's less structure there. You have less security. Right. If you were to take that job, where at Wisconsin, like going 8-4, 9-3, not going to get you fired. Where at other schools it might.
Yeah. But I don't think there's anything. Is it Ohio State? No. Is it Alabama? No. But I don't think there's anything to worry about in the national job search for people that would want to be the next head coach of the Wisconsin Badgers. If anything, I would think that Chris McIntosh's desk is flooded with resumes of people that would just say, hey, give me a shot. Let me wave my hand in the air, and maybe, just maybe, I could possibly get myself in the door at Wisconsin. I would not doubt that for a minute.
Yeah, I'm sure they talked to Leipold, who we had discussed previously.
Right.
And Jeff Patrikis of the Journal-Sentinel here in Madison reported that Leonard will get the job when they do make that official. But indications are they talked to Leipold, they talked to Matt Rule. And part of it could just be kicking tires there, but they talked to Aranda at Baylor.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think, the perfect example of a guy that's in the Big 12. Baylor's a good job. He's had a lot of success, but being in the Big 10 would be a huge difference in terms of all that.
Yeah, God, yeah. Cheddarball says, except Wisconsin cannot get the 4 to 5-star recruits on the regular. No, but there's only a couple of schools that do. They say the same thing at Penn State. They get some 4 to 5-star recruits, but they say the same thing. Why can't we be on the same level as Ohio State? Why can't we be on the same level as Michigan? Why can't we be on the same level as Alabama, as Georgia, as Clemson?
Because their coaches are drastically overrated every season.
Yeah, but because that's Duke, that's North Carolina, that's Kansas, that's Kentucky. That's the same thing in college basketball, where they just line them up. You're only as good as your most recent success. What comes first? Because for the longest time, go back to when UCLA was dominant. Go look back to the days of John Wooden and recruiting and bringing stars in, and he was getting it done year in and year out. And then when he left, there was a down period of time, and then UCLA came back, and then there was a down period of time. It's cyclical. But there's 4 or 5 blue bloods that are consistent. North Carolina, Duke, Kansas, Kentucky. You go through that list, there's those consistencies where they're always going to get that recognition just because. Ohio State, Alabama, Michigan, those are those programs. Those are those, even to a certain extent, you'd look at like Oklahoma. Oklahoma, I mean, they haven't won a national title overwhelmingly, 2 and 3 and 4 of them, but Oklahoma still gets that national respect. Texas did for a long time, and then Texas went on the downslide. And Texas was a program that wasn't getting that anymore. They weren't even getting the top recruits out of Texas. And they went through their troubles and trials and tribulations. So you got to come back now, granted, Wisconsin doesn't have a national title pedigree. If they would get there, then that becomes, you've kicked down that door, and then it becomes easier. But you're not going to get the 4 and 5-star recruits on a consistent until you win something and go deep on a consistent. And then they start to come. So the cart has to become before the horse. You got to get there. You got to figure out a coach and a group of guys that are just going to come together and give you national prominence. And then that starts to matriculate. And like ripples on a pond, you start to get more and more of those guys. You start to steal a couple. It's not that you're going to become suddenly Ohio State, because that's not true. It's not going to happen. You're not going to suddenly become a rival to Alabama and you're out dueling Alabama for recruits. It's not going to happen. but you're going to get a few more here and a few more there, and you're going to continue to rise to prominence. But your time for that is, we'll say, I mean, Ben, when they get rid of the East and the West, once they just go to one conference, you talk about an uphill road after that, right?
Yeah, it's probably one extra loss a season, if not more. Just by the scheduling of
but
it
the ability,
and who they play.
My point is the ability to get to the final 12 will become that much more difficult because you're climbing through the swamp that is the Big Ten.
Yeah, well, once they expand to 12, it'll be a lot easier. Because there's a team like Penn State this season. I think they're 9-2.
Mm-hmm.
They've had a really good year. They haven't beaten anybody good. They have totally blown out poor teams and then gotten crushed by good teams, Ohio State and Michigan. So we could see seasons like that for Wisconsin where they have Ohio State and Penn State on the schedule, for instance, or USC, and they beat all of the poor teams or average teams on their schedule and go like 10-2 or 9-3. With the only times they actually get tested, they get beat. That could be enough, though, to get them into the 12.
Yeah, they got
that's just a pure numbers game.
They got blown out at Michigan. That I remember. But they at least gave Ohio State a run for their money at home. They played better at home against Ohio State, but they got drilled in the big house. And who's their last game against? Michigan State? I think
coming up
Michigan
this
State.
weekend.
Yeah, I think they play Michigan
I'm not
State.
sure.
I think it's Michigan State, if I remember correctly. 877-867-67. Let's do this. We're going to hear from Jim Leonard when we come back. I got into this discussion and I took it a little bit further than I wanted to, but we're going to hear from
show.
Yeah, I want to hear from Jim Leonard when we come back. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Here they come, the holidays. What to get the special people in your life? Good food? Better yet, great meat. Go to SchulzeFamilyBeef.com. That's SchulzeFamilyBeef.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. Good to have you on board. Hey, if you're looking for a terrific guy to do the upholstery, maybe a boat cover, if you got office furniture, if you've got anything that needs to be recovered, maybe you got an awning out in front of your business, that's our buddy Dwayne, Duanes, DwaynesCoverItAll.com. That is DwaynesCoverItAll.com. And he is Wisconsin's best canvas upholstery and boat cover provider. You can check him out on Facebook and all the cool stuff that he does. Go to Dwayne's, Duanes, Dwayne's Cover It All on Facebook, but find DwaynesCoverItAll.com. That's DwaynesCoverItAll.com. Or just call him 715-870-2119, 715-870-2119, and you can see all of his stuff there, or give him a call to get something scheduled in right now. Jim Leonard, first of all, talks about the job being the head coach of the Wisconsin Badgers.
I'm going to have some conversations this week, and hopefully it leads in the direction I want it to go. I got about $20 if I can get some of your sources in here. There's a lot of information I'm hearing, but I haven't been told. So, yeah, I'm excited for the opportunity to really lay out my entire vision for the athletic department.
He also talks about this upcoming game, and looking back to last year, said, look, the Gophers in the battle for Paul Bunyan's axe, they were just, it was more physical. And he said, look, that cannot happen again this year.
Yeah, we already addressed it this morning. I think they out-physicaled us last year, and they finished, right? And we had the lead going at halftime, and they finished. They made plays in the second half to swing the game and create momentum and put us on our heels, and we couldn't overcome it.
He also talks about the Minnesota Golden Gophers running back, Big Mo. And he said, look, can't wait for him to get out of here.
He's been a top-tier running back in college football for a long time. I'm ready for him to leave and move on. It's just impressive, the physicality, the consistency that he runs with, the vision. He's going to make you earn it every time you have to tackle him, and he's done it for a long time in that program.
Not very often do you hear coaches go, you know what? Don't like him. But then again, he also played for Wisconsin. So he said, look, I don't like Minnesota. Don't like him at all, but I respect the program.
I've always respected this program. I don't like them, right? But I respect them because they have an identity. They know who they are, and they're going to force you to beat them, very similar to what we are. So it's going to be a fun experience on Saturday, and you need to get out of there with a win.
He also talked about some of the guys, CJ Getz and company, guys that have waited for their turn to play. So, man, he hopes you don't lose guys like that when you start talking about transfer portal.
Well, I hope he's not becoming a rarity, because that's the reality of football. A lot of players, it takes time. They are not a finished product when they get to the college level. And I think that's the false reality of kind of where football is right now, is everybody wants it right now. And they expect immediate success, and they expect the playing time. They expect the production, but that's not how it works.
That's a tough thing for any head coach, any position coach, any coordinator, to convince young guys. And Ben, are you finding that when you listen to guys, and you guys do that show? I mean, like tonight, Kenny and Halprin, and you guys have been doing it on Thursdays as well. But the guys that transfer, they want to transfer and play. And when they come in, they're not interested in transferring. The transfer portal was for guys that weren't playing, that feel that, there's 2 and 3 quarterbacks on a really good team, and they're all 5-star, and you could go start somewhere else. You don't want to get into the transfer portal as a 3rd-string guy on a defense to be a 2nd-string guy on a defense, unless, of course, you're moving for either educational, academic-wise, or closer to home or something like that, right?
Yeah, it depends. I don't think there's a science to it. Like Wisconsin brought in 3 cornerbacks that were all 6th-year, 7th-year seniors, and they've played all season, but they definitely brought them in to start.
Right.
They also brought in a young lower classman wide receiver who has played but is not one of the top options. A lot of guys have transferred away from Wisconsin in the last 2 years, and some of them have not played at all in their new spots. So I don't think there's an exact science to it. It is kind of a crapshoot, though. Like if you enter the transfer portal, there are way too many guys in it for the spots that are available on rosters.
Right. Now Leonard did say, hey, for the game coming up this weekend, he's excited for the challenge against Minnesota.
I'm excited for the challenge. They're a physical downhill team on offense. Obviously, defensively, we're playing at a high level right now. And offensively, last week, it was really fun to see our guys get into a rhythm. And it took us a while, but we were able to finish some drives and get a win. We got to come out hot starting the first quarter to get this one done.
Going back to the transfer portal, says it's a joke when you got a first-year guy who transfers, he's not getting any playing time as a freshman, and all of a sudden he wants to come in and be a starter somewhere else. And it's just it just doesn't necessarily work that way.
I think the misconception out there of players is they're on a 3-year plan right now. You know, if it doesn't happen year one, well, is this the right place for me? It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. So hopefully CJ is not the outlier, but the norm kind of gets back to what the reality of the sport is.
So that being said, when you start to talk about, the rivalry games and such, and the Minnesota rivalry for Paul Bunyan's Axe, the end of the year, everybody's got that end of the year, the Iron Bowl, obviously Auburn and Alabama. Obviously, you got the big one, they used to call the big granddaddy, so to speak, Ohio State, Michigan. But as Jim Leonard says, the Minnesota rivalry, this one for Wisconsinite, this one means everything.
Beauty of this program is we've had a lot of people who've been a big part of this rivalry, and it means a lot to a lot of people. So I'm excited to kind of teach the guys who don't know much about the history. It means everything.
So there you go. That's Jim Leonard. There you have it. Let's get to the phone calls. Let's go to Eric listening to us in Green Bay. Eric, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Doing all right, Bill. How you doing, man?
Doing well. What's up?
Well, happy holiday week to you.
Oh, you too.
You're talking about Jim Leonard, and where he was a great defensive player, and he was a Badger, and he's been kind of being groomed for this, and he's proven to be a good defensive coordinator. But I still don't know why the Badgers wouldn't at least entertain Jeff Tedford as head coach. That dude consecutively into the NFL put out A.J. Arrington, Marshawn Lynch, Justin Forsett, C.J. Anderson, Shane Vereen, Javid Best. At one point, 5 of those guys were in the playoffs at the same time. A.J. Arrington, Marshawn Lynch, Justin Forsett, C.J. Anderson, and Shane Vereen were all in the postseason at the same time. He has also proven that he knows what to do with a quarterback, being that he's the one who cranked Rodgers out. He went to Cal when Kyle Bowler was done because he had been ruined by Tom Holmoe, and actually made him a viable NFL draft pick, and he played for Baltimore for a while. That guy knows what he's doing. He got hosed by Cal. They fired him because his players weren't graduating, and they weren't graduating because they were going into the NFL early. He had a defensive coordinator that had the best defensive draft in Pac-12 history, and then they wouldn't pay him, and he left and went to Washington and brought all of his recruits with him. Then Tedford got fired. He went to a bad coaching staff in Tampa Bay, and now he's back at Fresno State. Now, when he went to Cal was the doormat of the Pac-10. Wisconsin's not the doormat of the Big Ten. I mean, I would think that Tedford, he's back at Fresno State now. He wouldn't jump all over an opportunity to turn the Badgers into a powerhouse, because that's what he did at Cal. He took the Pac-10 doormat and turned him into a national powerhouse. They were the only one to beat USC over a 2-year period. Dude's an amazing coach, and he should get a shot.
I wonder if they sent out the fielder to talk to him. And I would probably assume not. But I wonder if he sent anything over to say, hey, I would love to talk to you about coaching in the Big Ten. Now, remember, he's a California guy as it is. So maybe sometimes it's just the recruiting trail where you would go. But I can't imagine that he wouldn't have success in the Big Ten. You know what I mean?
Oh, my God. I think he would be the perfect fit for Madison. Could you imagine Jeff Tedford at Camp Randall? Oh, my God, dude.
An offensive-minded guy.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Well, thanks for taking my call. And if I don't speak to you before or with you before Thanksgiving, man, happy Turkey Day there, buddy.
You too, bud. Appreciate it, man. He drops off. You get on board. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Would you have loved to have seen Ben Tedford get at least interviewed for the possibility of the head coaching position at Wisconsin?
No, not really. I don't know. He's fine. When he was at Fresno State in 2019, they went like 4-8. Like he's a good head coach. He had a lot of success at Cal. That was 15 years ago. It's a different era of college football. I have no doubt he's a good coach. I don't think he fits. Like, I don't think you can take a West Coast guy and just plop him at Wisconsin. The other ones I would have liked them to look at, which I think they did, would be Aranda, who has been a defensive coordinator at Wisconsin and is a very good coach.
He's very good coordinator too.
Yeah, and a couple other along those lines. Tedford doesn't really do it for me.
Yeah, Mark says, would Tedford come here as the offensive coordinator? No. He's not giving up a head coaching position to come back and be an offensive coordinator. No. To answer that question.
It's also, I guess, that people have a lot of pause about Leonard because they think it's just another Wisconsin guy following that whole model. But if you look at his resume, aside from the fact that he's a Wisconsin guy, I mean, it's as impressive. Like if I told you 6-year best defensive coordinator in the country, he's on the market. It's this brilliant defensive mind, good recruiter. People would be all over that. They just don't like it because he's been here under Paul Chris struggles.
If this team, let's say this team was one loss and one of the top defenses in the country again, or let's say this team has this many losses, but the defense is still lights out. It's been the offense. It's been complete ineptitude. Then I think people would go, he still got it. I think there's this group of people that are questioning because the defense isn't top 5 again, that they're saying, well, can he really get it done? And the fact that as an interim head coach, he has taken a loss. And that's the other question. Well, if he's that good, he would have come in and turned it all around. And it's just not that easy. I agree with you. I look at it this way. This is a guy that loves the program for the program. This is a guy that loves Wisconsin. He's from here. He gets it. He understands it. He's been in this area as far as recruiting goes as well. I think and it's a young energy. It's a big shift from Paul Chris, who was probably 5 years from retirement, to a guy that could go here for another 20 if he chose to do so. And he had success. So I don't, this guy was an offer away from going to coach a defense in the National Football League in Green Bay. I would not pass on Jim Leonard just because he's a Wisconsin guy. The half, I wouldn't even say half. I'd say 80% of the people want Jim Leonard because he's a Wisconsin guy. He gets it. He's been a guy that has overcome adversity his entire life. Then there's another 20% that say they don't want him because he's a Wisconsin guy. It's the nepotism from within, and you're just giving a guy a program, and he hasn't really earned it, and on and on and on and on and on because he's a Wisconsin guy. And I think it's a good hire, but you'll know in 2 years how good the hire is. You may know next year. I mean, who knows? But I think you'll know in 2 years how good the hire is. By the way, you start to get people to come out of the transfer portal, the recruiting trails begin to open up, and the hiring via the coaching staff, and how quickly they're able to kind of turn things around, specifically more offensively than anything. I think that's where he's really going to have a very, very strong hire on the offensive side of the football. He knows the defense. There's no doubt about that. But to hand the reins of play calling over to somebody and say, here you go, I want you to take care of this. This is it. You really have to have a very strong hire in the offensive side of the football. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You can hit us up. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at New Mail Medical, treating guys with ED all over the state of Wisconsin, well beyond the borders as well. All you got to do is call 414-455-4451. If you're looking for more energy, better mood, better mental clarity, stamina, could be low T. They can help you out with that. Or maybe you're sitting there right now going, oh my goodness, come Thursday, it's more cookies, cakes, pies, all that kind of stuff. Tryptophan, feeling kind of hefty. And next thing you know, you get into the holiday season of out and about, you're shopping, you're eating, you're going to holiday parties, you're doing all that kind of stuff, and you're packing it on even more. Start 2023 with a brand new you. That's all you got to do. Go to the New Male Medical Center, 414-455-4451. 414-455-4451. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. Hey, if you were looking for some holiday spirit, good stuff going on too. ICHC, the Irish Cultural and Heritage Center, right on Wisconsin Avenue in Milwaukee. Coming up, they have got a Christmas tradition with Rory Makem on December 3rd. Coming up, tickets still available for that, and some tickets available for December 18th. December 18th, it's Christmas O'Carolyn featuring Reverie Road, and that is really good stuff. If you talk about Irish music, getting into the Christmas spirit and such, really good stuff coming up at the Irish Cultural and Heritage Center on Wisconsin Avenue, and it's a must-see. Really fun stuff. You can go to ichc.net, and get yourself some tickets, or simply call our buddy Corey, 414-345-8800, 414-345-8800, 414-345-8800, and get your tickets while they still last. And they probably won't, because it's not going to last much longer. These things apparently, from what I understand, sell out. So coming up on December 3rd, the Christmas Tradition with Rory Makem, and Christmas O'Carolyn on December 18th with Reverie Road. Both really good things going on at the Irish Cultural and Heritage Center. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to hit us up, please feel free. Go ahead and do so. Let's go back to the phone calls and talk to John, listening to us in Houston. John, how you doing, man? What's going on?
Hey, doing well. Absolutely love the show, and I think your analysis and commentary is spot on.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. A couple of quick comments. You really got me going on the Badgers. All for Jim Leonard getting a shot. I think he deserves it. But Wisconsin's never going to get to the next level unless or until they lower their admission standards to the NCAA minimum admission standards. They're missing out on a lot of 4- and 5-star guys because they can't get into the program. So even if Jim Leonard's the head coach, Nick Saban, Ryan Day, whoever, you're never going to get Wisconsin to that next level until there's a cultural change within the university, coming from the administration into the athletic department, letting in some of these students, giving them a track to succeed. A lot of these guys come from pretty challenging and diverse backgrounds, and I think they contribute to the university in a different capacity. So I think lower the admission standards. That'll help Jim Leonard get some of the recruits he needs. And I think, to your point, get the guys that will elevate that program and make them more competitive with the Ohio States, Michigans, and Alabama, which is upcoming in 24 and 25. One other quick comment. My question to you is, how long do you give Brian Gutekunst before you pull the plug? Because his track record on drafting and personnel, I think it's probably a C-, D+. When do you pull the plug? And I'll hang up and listen.
Okay, appreciate it. John, two good points. Okay, let's start with the first and foremost with the lowering of the academic standards. First of all, it's been discussed. It's never going to happen at Wisconsin. Never. But Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, okay? And I don't know how deeply you've kind of, taken a dive into this. It's not like it's crazy It's maybe another year of a language. Instead of only doing 1 year of a language in high school, it's like doing 2 years of a language in high school. It's doing one extra, level of math. This isn't like the credits are like you have to take 4 years of German or something like that, or have to take some kind of calculus. That's not what this is. It's like one extra credit of X, and that gets you in. It's not that huge of difference of academic standard, correct?
I don't know the specifics when it comes to the credits, but I can definitely say that it's not the thing keeping them from top recruits.
That's what I believe. Yeah.
There was an in-state kid, Isaac Ham, 4-star, committed to Wisconsin. And when the year started, we talked with Paul Christ at Big Ten Media Day. He said Isaac wasn't with the program yet because he had to finish some sort of school before he got into Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's one thing keeping them, let's be honest here, from all the top recruits, it's money. But there are certain programs out there throwing boatloads of money on the table.
Correct.
At the meeting or whatever. And Wisconsin's not.
Correct. Yeah.
No geography.
When we talked about this before, remember what was the quarterback Gary Anderson wanted to get in and he couldn't get in?
I forget, but this all came up during Anderson because he was a madman.
Oh, he was crazy, and he was begging them to lower the academic standards. And what had happened was, and I can't remember the guy's name, so if somebody out there remembers, please let me know. But he had 1 year of a language. That was it. And had he taken a second year of Spanish, he was in no problem. But they wanted him to go back and do like another course or class or whatever, and he couldn't. And because he'd already graduated or was graduating early, and therefore they couldn't get him in. And I don't know all the details off the top of my head, but I just remember when we sat there, because I was with Gary Ellerson at the time, and Gary, obviously former Badger, we were talking about this, and Gary's like, no, the kid just needed one more year of a language that would have gotten him in. It wasn't like it was some crazy amount of credits that he was missing because he was coming out of some publicly educated school. This was one extra year of a language. It wasn't that difficult, but Anderson was hell-bent on lowering the academic standards. That was the reason he used to not be able to get the recruits that he wanted.
He was hell-bent on a lot of things.
Yes, correct. But that's when this really became a topic. And then when Paul Christ came back, it was no big deal. Paul knew the system. He knew what was going on. Leonard knows the system. He knows what's going on. I don't want to give too much credence to the fact that they have an extra credit over and above, other schools in the Big Ten. And I don't even know what the academic standards are for Northwestern. I know they're high. I know that. But I don't know if Wisconsin's as high or a credit below or what. But I know it's not that big of a deal. If you take a pretty fair curriculum in high school, I don't think it's that difficult as an athlete to get into Wisconsin. I think if you take a lot of, I don't want to say easier courses, but if you're going down that path and you're not getting a couple of years of a language, a couple of years of specific math and sciences, then yeah, it becomes difficult because you're not racking up the credits, but I don't think it's that difficult.
So where all of that does matter is the transfer portal, because schools like Stanford and Northwestern specifically, Stanford's screwed because none of their players can get into their grad program. So they have to transfer out. So they can't keep players for that amount of years. Northwestern, given it's a private school, they have the power to take away or like how credits transfer and stuff and take away those requirements, but they don't do it as an institution. So it's nearly impossible for them to bring high-level transfers in. Meanwhile, they lose other players to other good schools. Wisconsin's in good shape there. Like Wisconsin has no trouble transferring it in to the school for someone to then enroll and play.
Yeah. I don't think it's that major of an ordeal. Now, going back to his second question, I do want to address this real quick. And John from Houston gave us a call and said, how much longer do you give Gutekunst? I would probably, you just re-sign, correct me if I'm wrong, they just gave him and Matt LaFleur extensions last year. I would say at least another year. He's going to go through this offseason. He's going to go through the draft. Put it this way, Mark Murphy, you got a 3-year, maybe 2-year window. Mark Murphy's got 3 years left before he retires, is forced to retire because of the requirement for the president of the Packers to be, 65 or younger or something like that. So I think he's got 3 years. You probably give Brian Gutekunst 2. You got to turn it around. You got to put this team in a very viable position and have this thing going in the right direction. Otherwise, chances are he'll want to make a change and try to get the train back on the tracks before he hands it off to the next president. That to me makes sense. That's what Bob Harlan wanted to do. He wanted to make his changes. He wanted to do his thing. He wanted to get Mark installed and have everything just seemingly running right before he said, okay, now I'm going to leave it over to you. Now I'll turn this whole ship over to you guys. You guys steer it. I'm going to walk off for the last time, and I'm going to go home and enjoy retirement. And Bob Harlan did a magnificent job at that. I think Mark probably wants to do the same thing. Mark probably wants to be able to make sure that this thing is viable. It's making money. It's not going to be in any kind of a danger of not making money or not being able to pay its bills in Green Bay or something. He wants to be able to get it right, both business-wise and on the field, because the product on the field is very dictatorial as to how much money you're going to make in the marketing department and everything else that goes along with it. So you want to make sure that it's flying right. There's excitement about it. It's making money, and then you hand it off to the next guy. So I would probably say this upcoming draft and season, and then one more after that before you look at this and go, man, if this thing isn't right, I got to make a change. But I think Mark really wants to see this thing trending in the right direction before he walks away. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. You want to find us, please feel free to go ahead and do so. This portion of the program, Stoley's Hog Alley. Oh, my goodness, they're getting so close. A couple of weeks away, I would say, from opening up. The grand reopening and the remodeling is just about finished. But, boy, it looks beautiful. Drove past it the other day. It's right there in Summit off of 94. You can see it now that the leaves are off the bushes and the trees. You can see it right there off of 94 out in Oconomowoc. It really looks cool. They got some Christmas lights up and such now. Can't wait for the reopening of Stoley's Hog Alley. In the meantime, Stoll's 0109 up in Watertown. Great place, great food. Stop in. Tell Alicia and the gang we said hi because they're great people. Keep supporting those local businesses. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Cool weather, brisk winds, and a hot deal. Hi, this is Gina Della from Pella. Is your home ready for winter weather? Don't wait. Right now, put no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 2 years. When it's cold outside, thanks to Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, you'll be warm and toasty inside. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin can be installed in as little as a day with little to no disruption to your family or your home. Plus, you'll get expert advice from our Pella specialists, professional installation by Pella's certified installers, and the excellent service our customers have come to expect. And Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin has products and warranty offers you won't find anywhere else. Don't wait for the heating bills to start piling up. Right now, put no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 2 years at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Expires 11/30/2022. Certain exclusions and restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers return to practice tomorrow to prepare for the Eagles in Philadelphia Sunday night. Now, inside the Packers locker room, the team's still sorting out why they lost to the Titans after beating the Cowboys just a few days before. Packers defensive back Jair Alexander.
It's tough coming off a really good win, to come out and play inconsistently on both sides of the ball. It's tough, we got to do better. Win or go home at this point. So, every game is a playoff game. Every game is the Super Bowl for us. So that's how we got to attack it now.
The Eagles staged a come-from-behind victory on the road to beat the Colts 17-16 in regulation, led by quarterback Jalen Hurts.
I feel like there was never a doubt. I feel like there are a lot of things that we can learn from. We had positive plays. There weren't any turnovers. I think that's the formula for us as an offense, as we've shown throughout this point of the season.
Philadelphia improved to 9-1. The Packers are now 4-7. Matt LaFleur asked, with just 6 games left, what is Green Bay fighting for?
I think you're always fighting for something. Every team has the same goal coming into the season. And I think for some, it's more realistic than others. And I think we were one of those teams that definitely believed. And I'm not saying that it can't happen, but we're going to have to play a hell of a lot better, and we're going to have to coach a hell of a lot better. And just truly take it that one game at a time. And you're always fighting for something. You're always fighting for your job. Always. Every time you go out there. That's always going to be the mindset. Whether you're in the race or not, to me, you're always fighting for your job.
That's Matt LaFleur. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Welcome back to the program. Some breaking news out of Whitewater. Congratulations on a hell of a career. Coach Bullis, the head coach of UW Whitewater, the Warhawks, has stepped down. He is going to retire. He has had a hell of a career. They just ended up getting knocked off at Perkins Stadium last weekend, 33-28. And so they're done in the Division III playoffs. They got beat by Aurora. But, what an incredible season he had again this year. Only a couple of losses. They lost to St. John's 24-10 earlier, and they lost a close one to Platteville 17-13 in the Christ Cup, so to speak. But man, oh man, what a career he had at UW Whitewater. And now the tradition continues, gets handed down. But 8-3 overall, had a 6-1 conference record this year. They were 4-1 at home, 4-2 on the road. And yet again in the postseason, but what a tremendous career. Coach Bullis, who I used to have on my program often, and I just love the guy. He's just so genuine and so nice. And so, I wish him nothing but the best in retirement and enjoyment and such, because he's such a good dude, just such a good dude. So he steps down. 877-867-1670. By the way, just a little bit of hunting news for you hunters. 102,347 deer harvested on opening weekend, and that is up 15% over last year. Just throwing it out there. So, just throwing it out there. 877-867-1670. Got about a minute here. Let's go back to the phone calls. Ellen, welcome to the program. What's going on?
I just want to comment on the admission standards at Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Look, you can't go into any high school. My kids went to 2 different high schools. You walk into any athletic department, and they have signs up as to what you need from the NCAA.
Mm-hmm.
What the Badgers need is to really invest in getting a good offensive coordinator and try to get one of these quarterback whisperers, somebody like Jordan Palmer or somebody who works for Palmer, to come in on staff. That's what's going to draw these quarterback prospects. And my last question is on the Packers, based on where they're going to be drafting. What do you think they should go after first, a receiver, or do you think they should start trying to rebuild that line, that offensive line, which looks terrible?
Great question, Ellen. Appreciate it, Ellen. Thanks for taking a listen to us. We'll get to that after the top of the hour. Good stuff. Needs a quarterback whisperer in Madison. And she's right. If you want to go to UW-Madison, you go to counselors. They tell you exactly what you need to get in. If you're going to be in big-time college football, most schools have counselors to say, this is what you need minimally to get into many of these schools. This is what you got to do. So it's not horribly difficult. 877-867-1670. We've got another hour yet to go. Stay tuned. A whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show is coming up next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, Wisconsin will try to get Paul Bunyan's Axe back this Saturday when they host Minnesota. Badgers fell in the Twin Cities last year, 23-13. Interim coach Jim Leonard says it was pretty clear what happened.
We already addressed it this morning. I think they out-physicaled us last year, and they finished, right? And we had the lead going at halftime, and they finished. They made plays in the second half to swing the game and create momentum and put us on our heels, and we couldn't overcome it.
Leonard went 2-2 against the Gophers in his playing career, including a win over them in his senior day.
I've always respected this program. I don't like them, right? But I respect them because they have an identity. They know who they are, and they're going to force you to beat them, very similar to what we are. So it's going to be fun experience on Saturday, and you need to get out of there with a win.
Wisconsin comes into the game 6-5. Minnesota 7-4. Kick is set for 2:30. Turning to the Packers, they're back on the field tomorrow. Start getting prepared for a trip to face the 9-1 Eagles. Green Bay has just one win in its last 7 games, leaving them 4-7 on the year. Winning out, likely the only chance they have to make the playoffs. Kick on Sunday is set for 7:25.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Well, the Bucs used a big third-quarter run to break open a tight game in a 119-111 win over Portland last night. Giannis Antetokounmpo had 37 points to lead the way for Milwaukee. Win moved them to 12-4 in the year, including an NBA best 9-1 at home. They'll host the Bulls tomorrow. And Wisconsin could open the battle for Atlantis tomorrow as they take on Dayton in the Bahamas. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heilprin.
Good to have you back. The Bill Michaels Show. Final hour. Good stuff. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Ellen was on the line with us before we went to the top of the hour. And one of the questions that she had was about the Green Bay Packers and about the draft, considering where they would be drafting if, say, they lose on Sunday and the season continues to spiral. What would you go after? You know what? It's a great question, but here's 2 things to think of. One is you don't know what you're going to need just yet, because is Jordan Love the real deal? In a quarterback-heavy draft this year, do you go after a C.J. Stroud, or do you go after one of the other quarterbacks that are going to be listed so highly coming out of college this year? You got 4 or 5 of them that are pretty good. Do you go in that direction? If Jordan Love's not the real deal, do you trade him away, pick up an additional draft choice, and then go, which again, you're not taking a wide receiver, you're not taking a weapon. You would be taking then what would be your future quarterback. So do you go in that direction? Do you take a wide receiver, another one to fortify the stable that you have of young up and coming wide receivers? Do you go in that direction? Like she said, do you go after a top-notch lineman? I think it's going to be determined upon what you believe you're going to do in the short term next couple of years. And then, in all honesty, it's going to be determined about, what I always say is especially when you're talking about the top of the draft, best available. Then you go in that direction. What's your best available? So those are a couple of questions that you would ask. But if you are keeping Aaron Rodgers for the next couple of years, chances are you're not going to keep Jordan Love. So get what you can for him. Bring in another one. Start grooming him. You got maybe a year or two, and then turn the reins over to that guy. That way he doesn't have to play immediately, and you don't have to worry about money after that. That way after Aaron Rodgers leaves, your quarterback position is minimal dollars. It's not going to cost you against the cap. Chances are you're getting a pretty good quarterback, if indeed you're able to get one of those top-notch guys. And then you work your way from there, because you're still going to have some high draft choices along the way, plus whatever you get for Jordan Love to be able to garner, and then say, okay, we've got an abundance of draft choices. Let's go after a wide receiver. Let's go after an offensive lineman or two. Let's go after go trenches. Best available, go trenches. That type of thing. So then you go in that direction. But if say Rodgers says, you know what, this sucks, I'm done, then you start looking for, you're going to be cutting money. So I think at that point you just take best available. And if you believe Jordan Love's a guy, then you're not drafting a quarterback. So you're going after a wide receiver, you're going after an offensive lineman, you're going after a defensive lineman, a pass rusher, whatever it is you can find that's going to bolster your team. But I think it becomes a vastly different scenario depending on what Aaron Rodgers decides to do. But it's a great question. By the way, the Eagles, coming up on Sunday night, they're going to debut the all-black helmets and jerseys against the Packers on Sunday night. The helmets are going to be worn for the first time, paired with black jerseys and black pants. It's a black color wash on Sunday night coming up for the Philadelphia Eagles against the Green Bay Packers. Ben, do you like it?
I do, Bill.
Okay.
It's kind of electric.
I did see it said, I can't remember who tweeted it out. It was one of the guys in the radio station in Philadelphia that said, it's a picture of Rocky looking around the corner coming out of the front of his house in Rocky 1. And it says, check this out. And then there's a picture of Rocky, and I had to look at it real quick. But there you go. Going to be the blackout color wash uniforms for the Philadelphia Eagles coming up on Sunday night. Look out. Look out.
It wasn't me. I saw some commenters on Twitter say they're dressing up for the Packers funeral.
Dressing all in black.
Now, I don't endorse those comments, but they're out there.
You don't negate them either.
I'm just bringing information to the public.
Okay. 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, feel free. This hour, pretty much wide open phone lines, whether it's Packers or what have you. I did get this one, and I meant to talk about this, and I haven't had a chance to yet, so I'm going to kind of address it real quick now. But this is from Ben, who says, did you see the proposed trade that Jim Bowden put out regarding Corbin Burns and the Dodgers? I did see that. That's almost a no-brainer. It's for the Dodgers' top catching prospect, top infield prospect, and a starter. It would be for all three prospects to be the top prospects out of their farm system. Their catcher is supposed to be, and I can't remember what the kid's name is. It's supposed to be all that and a bag of chips and then some. I mean, he's supposed to be fantastic. Their top infielder, and then a right-handed starter, I believe, what they call a back of the rotation starter for Corbin Burns. I don't know if you would do that, if you're the Brewers going into this upcoming season trying to win while you still have these pitching arms in your stable. It is tempting. It is a hell of a deal. I don't disagree there. But it also, I always worry about what is also the message to your fan base. Because the message to your fan base would then be, hey, we're going to grow these guys. And as soon as these guys that we're going to trade for become eligible to really start making big money, don't get used to them because they're going to be gone too. That's one problem when you have a guy like Corbin Burns who's come up through your system. He's had incredible success. This is exactly what you want, what you've been hoping for forever. We've talked about non-homegrown pitching. Now you get not one, but two. And you're going to go, boy, these guys are great. We groomed them. This is awesome. We got to get rid of them. And it's just the optics. While the business side of it makes a lot of sense, the optics just look bad. But I understand it. In the realm of business, I understand it. 877-867-1670. Give us a shout. 877-867-1670. Let's go to Ken listening to us in Stevens Point. Ken, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
I'm doing great. It's interesting listening to the idea about the next draft. We kind of have a problem because we've got so many expensive people all coming at the same time, especially Aaron. Why not get some really quality linemen, build that up that way, and then when you're ready to go and push ahead, you get that quarterback you need. I mean, we went into this year without a right tackle for sure, not positive about left tackle when the season started, and we're still in the same situation. Get some good horses in the front, and the good quarterback will get better.
Well, you hope. I mean, you don't want to end up with Mitch Trubisky. That's for God's sakes. Appreciate the phone call. Now, again, if you go with, say, an offensive line, if that's where you want to start, if you say you're going to go with horses, okay, and that's what he was talking about, getting guys up front. Okay, so you would probably then cut loose David Bakhtiari. I don't think you cut loose Elton Jenkins. Going into a second contract, I don't think you do that. I'll put it this way. Yosh Nijman's coming up. Elton Jenkins is coming up. I don't think you get rid of 3/5 of your starting offensive line. Because let's just say, first of all, if Aaron Rodgers is coming back, you don't do that, right? If you have Jordan Love back there, you don't put him back there against a lackluster offensive line and completely shoot his confidence early either, to where he starts to develop bad habits because he's on the run consistently. So I don't know that I would cut all those guys loose. Bakhtiari is probably going to be your salary cap casualty. I can't imagine kicking any more of that money down the road. I just can't. He's going to get $20 million plus, and he's going to say, hey, thanks for your service. You've been great. Obviously you're probably going to catch on somewhere else. But you're getting rid of him a year, maybe too early, as opposed to a year too late, coming out of that knee injury in the contract. But I go back to what we talked about in the beginning of the show. Kudos to him, because when he has played, specifically here as of late, he's played well. Go back to that Cowboys game. He wasn't giving up any pressures with Micah Parsons and company. He was one of the only guys that held up with zero pressures on the quarterback coming out of that contest. Highly graded by Pro Football Focus. So he has played well, but you're just not going to pay him. I don't think you can. You can't afford to. But now going back to your question about getting the horses. See, I go back to when Ted Thompson took over. When Ted Thompson took over that first year, now granted, Aaron Rodgers fell into his lap, right? So it was kind of a no-brainer. But remember, everybody said that Ted was crazy. Are you kidding me? Aaron Rodgers? Why would you do that? You got Brett Favre. And look what happened, right? But he just took best available. And Aaron Rodgers proved to be gold. Nick Collins, had he not had the neck injury, he's a Hall of Famer because he was on his way to a Hall of Fame career. After that, Terrence Murphy, Margot Underwood, I guess. But he got Brady Papinga. Will Whitaker was okay, but he really never amounted to anything. But you got three guys out of that. But what you were doing was you were just doing best available. Remember the next year, they had the 5th overall. That's when he got A.J. Hawk. It was A.J. Hawk, Darren College, Greg Jennings, Jason Spitz, Tony Mall, Johnny Jolly. That was a fortifying draft in 2006 between getting Aaron Rodgers and Nick Collins. That 2006 draft was, we got nothing to lose. I'm just taking best available. Just taking best available. Now, he tried to outthink himself in 2007 when he picked up Justin Harrell. That was, oh my goodness. Really the mainstay out of that 2007 draft was Mason Crosby. That's it. Brandon Jackson didn't amount to much. Got James Jones. I can't forget about James Jones because James Jones came out of that draft. But it was Alan Barber, David Clowney, Corey Hall, Desmond Bishop, Deshaun Wynn. I can't remember who else. But he got those guys. So 2006 was gold. 2007 was okay because he did get James Jones. But beyond that, you didn't really get much withstanding. But then he got Jermichael Finley and Jordy Nelson and Josh Sitton the next year. 2008, he hit again. 2009, here comes Clay Matthews, B.J. Raji, T.J. Lang. He got 3 guys that were going to get you. Then he got Brad Jones in the 7th round. Brad Jones, man. They picked him up. He came into the locker room. You're like, damn, that dude is Thor. He has got it all. And looked like Tarzan played like change. But got B.J. Raji, Clay Matthews, and T.J. Lang. And after that, it was off and running because Bulaga was the next year with the number 1 pick, or the first-round pick for them. Morgan Burnett came in. Starks came in. C.J. Wilson came in. C.J. Wilson was instrumental with Howard Green on that defensive front when they were rotating those big bodies with B.J. Raji, Ryan Pickett, Cullen Jenkins. They were bringing those guys in. Bulaga, remember, Mark Tauscher went down with the knee injury, and Bulaga filled in like they never missed a beat. Never looked back, and they went on to win a championship. So he was just drafting for best available and hit on many. And that's what you got to do. You got to get 3, even maybe 4 guys out of every draft that's going to fortify your team. That's why you go back to 2017, 2018, 2019, you start to look at this and you go, wow, you haven't really fortified your team. 2017, you got Aaron Jones. That's it. That's it. Nobody from 2016 is left. Everybody's gone. The 2018, you got Jair, Bueller. Nobody left from 2018. That's why you're in this situation right now when it comes to depth issues. 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, feel free to go ahead and do so. So to me, I go best available. That's just my thought. Go best available. This portion of the program, speaking of the best, our friends at Sloppy Joe's. They're out there in Hubertus, on Hubertus. Coming up this weekend, great breakfast. It is a good old-fashioned Wisconsin bar. You want a really good old-fashioned, go in there. Really good one. Bloody Marys on Sunday morning. Oh, yeah. Saturday morning for that matter. But, oh, yeah, the breakfast, fantastic. And then you go over to a Smoke on the Water where they've got the new chef Jerry Garcia is putting together all kinds of terrific stuff at Smoke on the Water. And they've got entertainment. That big hall downstairs is now open and the stage is always jamming. They've had a lot of great acts there. Check them out, both out. That's Sloppy Joe's on Hubertus, in Hubertus, and you go out to Okachi Lake, and that is Smoke on the Water. Oh, yeah, good place to go. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket.
Good to have you. Good to have you. Bill Michael Show, we continue on. This portion of the program, hey, if you're heading downtown for a Bucks game, just a dinner, a good night out, that is our friends at San Giorgio Tolerance Club. Right there on Old World 3rd Street, right across the street from Hyatt. Man, you talk about delicious food. Good stuff. Good stuff from our friends Gino and the gang over there. Stop in, tell them we sent you, and oh my goodness, get the chicken marsala, which is to die for, or lasagna, or just the plain spaghetti and meatballs. The meatballs have been award-winning over at Calderon Club. Then there's the authentic Napolitano Pizzeria next door at San Giorgio. Either place, you can't go wrong. That is our friends down there at Calderon Club in San Giorgio, and they pair up a lot of those dishes with cider boys. Oh, good stuff there. So make sure you stop down, say hi to Gino. Get yourself that, some cider boys along the way, a little bit of good stuff in the grill, and oh my goodness, great before or after any Bucks game, Marquette game, Admirals game, you name it. You're downtown, that is the place to go to put the best Italian food you're ever going to put in the grill. Pair it up with cider boys. That's our friends down in Giorgio and Calderon Club, Old World 3rd Street, across the street from the Hyatt. I got some power rankings come up here at the bottom of the hour. Aaron Rodgers is on Pat McAfee. As soon as we hear anything of interest, we will get it to you. Just an FYI. So if there's any news comes of it, we'll see. See how the fun is or what have you. But we'll bring it up coming up here in just a little bit. This is from Greg. Greg says, hey, Unit, as far as the draft goes, do you go after a number one quarterback or do you go after a number one wide receiver? I think it's time. And again, I mean, I know this is a question that's going to continue to come up. We're going to talk about this ad nauseum between now and draft day. So I don't want to get too deep into the weeds here. But this really does depend on what's going to go on with this team and the quarterback situation this year, this upcoming offseason. You know, if Aaron's coming back, is he committed? Is he ready to go? Is he ready to roll? I mean, all that draft stuff. And like I said, we're going to talk about this a lot after the season ends. And as the Packers' positioning becomes more and more evident when it comes to the NFL draft. But right now, I don't know. I you know, you want to say go best available, you know, but if Rodgers is staying, I think you continue to fortify it with as many weapons as you can possibly get. Or, you know, defense, you know, pass rush, another, you know, linebacker. I mean, whatever it is you can get, you know, another corner, whatever. I mean, whatever top player you're going to get, whatever falls to you, if you don't trade up to get somebody, that's the direction you go. You don't deviate from that. And then the other question has to become, and I think, and this is Alan says the same thing. Alan says, let's be honest, if we have a top 10 draft pick, do you trust Brian Gutekunst to be the right guy to make that call? If you're in the top 10 and everybody is pretty much rated near the top 10, I don't think you're going to go too wrong. You know? Even if they turn out to be an average player, you're still getting a contributing guy. But anybody near the top 10, now you obviously, when you get a top 10 player, you're expecting that guy that's going to come in and start right away. He's going to be a difference maker. He is going to be somebody that comes in and fortifies that position almost immediately. No doubt. Unless, of course, you're going to be a quarterback, and then you're going to be behind Aaron Rodgers for at least a year. But again, it depends on if you believe that you have hit on that quarterback in Jordan Love, and he's paid his dues, right? Then I think you move in a different direction. You don't need to go after a quarterback, you know? But you can get an edge rusher. You know, you get Will Anderson. You can get they just got so many. You got CJ Stroud's going to be one of the top quarterbacks. Bryce Young's going to be one of the top quarterbacks. We all know that. Those two guys are near the top, right? They're top 10. And I haven't really taken too deep of a dive into the draft yet. I got to be honest with you. But if you got, say, a down lineman, you got Brian Brees, right? Miles Murphy, the edge rusher from Clemson. Jordan Addison, the wide receiver, you take him. He's 6 foot. He's with USC. Or maybe Broderick Jones, the big offensive tackle from Georgia, going back into that Georgia camp again. But it depends on either one, what falls to you and what you really need, or you say, we're going to go after this. This is what we're targeting, and then go from there. But I think the first question you have to ask yourself is, do you believe that, Brian Gutekunst is going to pull the trigger right on the first 3-4 guys? You need if you trade away Jordan Love, you got to get Ben. What would you say Jordan Love's worth? What's his trade value? 3rd round, 4th round?
Where we stand today, yeah, I would say so. Probably 3rd or 4th.
Yeah.
After he plays, I would expect it to go up a bit.
You would hope?
Because I expect it to, I guess.
Yeah, you would hope. Yeah, you could go, in the 2nd round, you can go Anton Harrison, the big offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. You can go if you want to continue to try to fortify your offensive line at that point. But there's Anthony Richardson, who's the quarterback out of Florida. He's another one that's, projected to be pretty good, although I don't know if he's going to end up being a 1st rounder. He's right on the edge. I don't know. I haven't gone that deep into it.
He might not come out this year.
Right.
He's had a subpar season.
Right.
Fair to say. Same with
Which
Levis.
is the reason he's on
stinks.
the outside of the 1st round as of right now. But anyway, we've got a lot of time to start thinking about the NFL draft at this point. A lot of time. Right now, you're just trying to win a few games, figure out what you got. If you win a couple, then you're going to probably play Aaron Rodgers in this one. You're going to play him in Chicago. You're going to get that thumb through the bye week and see what you can do down the stretch run. It's not until you're eliminated that maybe at some point you say, okay, Jordan Love, we're going to give you a week or two's worth to kind of see what we got, because we got to make some decisions this offseason yet again. It's not that you don't know what you have in Jordan Love. It's not that you don't know, because you pretty much know. You know what you got in Jordan Love. All you're looking now is, if you put him in another game situation, is the validation of what it is you believe you have. You saw him against Kansas City. You saw him in the second half of that Detroit game. Both games he knew he was either starting and or playing. They weren't spectacular. He had a couple nice throws. He came back with more confidence this year. Looked pretty good in the preseason in certain situations. But still there wasn't a lot there to say, oh boy, here you go. You're ready to take the reins, because you didn't see that. What you saw was good mobility. You saw some scramble capability. You saw that he had a little bit of ability to throw on the run. He dropped it in the bucket a couple of times. So is there enough there to say that can warrant a third or fourth round draft choice if you decide to trade him? But this comes down to the sit down at the end of the season with the quarterback. It really does. Let's go to John, listening to us in Madison. John, welcome to the program, man. What's going on?
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
About Aaron Rodgers, when once again it sounds like the same old story will come up about, well, what is Aaron going to do for next year? What does he do if he stays? $59 million or $50 million, and why wouldn't he want to stay? I'll just leave it with it.
Well, why wouldn't he want to stay is because maybe he just doesn't want to have the end of his career looked at as either portion of a patchwork rebuild or something else. But the reason he would want to stay is because obviously there's going to be a lot of money coming his way. That's the reason why. He's going to have a boatload of money coming in his direction. So that's the reason he's going to be coming back. Now, if he just says, hey, trade me, then maybe that changes things depending on, what amount of money another team would be willing to take, if indeed, when it comes to all of that. I don't know. It's whatever you can work out. But Rodgers, I don't believe now. Most people seem to think the number one reason, there's one reason why Aaron Rodgers would not decide to call it a career this year. One reason. And that will be because we know at the end of this season, this is it. Tom Brady's going to be done. And that means if you retire the same year as Tom Brady, you're sharing the stage with Brady. And Brady as the GOAT, you don't want to be on that stage being completely overshadowed by Tom Brady going into the Hall of Fame in 5 years. So you're probably going to come back and play one more year. Now, whether it's with the Green Bay Packers or whether it's with somebody else, at least one more year. That decision will then be made. And then are you all in? And if you're all in, what is this team doing to fortify itself both through the draft and through free agency? And what is the capability? And what guys do they have to let go? That's the other, thing. And what sucks is that if you are indeed trying to rebuild certain areas and fill certain holes with draft choices because you were not able to keep specific players because of money, obviously because of impending free agency and or larger contracts, then you're drafting for need. And that's never a good position to be in. Because if you miss, you have literally put those eggs in that basket, and that's not going anywhere. Whereas if you just draft best available, you can then patchwork guys together. And you know that the best available talent is going to have time to shine. But when you start drafting for need, man, I go back to Mike Sherman talking about drafting for need. Whew. I don't know if I'd go in that direction. That's just me. 877-867-1670. BJ Hunter. That's all you need to know. BJ Hunter. Oof. Let's do this. We're going to step away. We'll take a quick break, come back. More of the Bill Michael Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michael Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Wisconsin isn't snobby, snooty, or pretentious. It's Midwestern charm at its finest. And that's exactly what Forgotten Fire Winery in Peshtigo is all about. Fun in a bottle without the attitude. You can find their full wine and cider lineup in their tasting room or in liquor and grocery stores throughout the state. The winery is a great place to get away for wine and cider tastings, great live music, and private events all year long. Remember, any time is a great time for Forgotten Fire wines and ciders. Wisconsin wine made from Wisconsin people.
At Heart of Canal Street, our hearts are set on making a difference for children in our community. On Black Friday, November 25th, we invite you to share your heart simply by playing your favorite slots at Potawatomi. This one special day, Potawatomi Hotel and Casino will match each and every jackpot won, donating up to $500,000 to local children's charities in southeastern Wisconsin. When you win, kids win. Learn more on how to share your heart at paysbig.com/heart.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you. Hey, this portion of the Bill Michaels Show brought to you by Lisa Lee Ortel Real Estate, and she can help you with the real estate needs, whether you're looking to buy, maybe you're sell, you're going to invest at this point in time. You invest in a property that maybe somebody's getting ready to get rid of, and I know the interest rates are high, but it's eventually going to come back down. You can check her out on Facebook. Email her at lisamoveswi@gmail.com. lisamoveswi@gmail.com, or call her 414-617-6798. 414-617-6798. She's got a great team of experts that she works with, and they can get you a 1% closing cost credit right now up to $3,000 and help you get some free mortgage refinancing on loans closed this season still. So there you go. All you got to do is go to lisamoveswi@gmail.com, get a hold of her, or call her 414-617-6798, because not many people thinking about moving this time of year, but that's when you can probably strike the best deals too, because it's really slow right now, housing market wise, in many different facets. 877-867-1671. Hit us up. Feel free to go ahead and do so. Aaron Rodgers talking with Pat McAfee about that dreaded thumb.
Well, there was some wind as well. I mean, I wasn't talking necessarily about the throws. I mean, if you don't throw a perfect spiral in the Green Bay wind, there's going to be a couple wobblers. So, the expectation of a perfect spiral is kind of what I've been known for and what I expect. And if there's anything less than that, then obviously there was something that contributed to that. My thumb is what it is. It's been an issue since the Giants, but not an issue that I'm going to rely on for an excuse or need. I mean, after the Cowboys game, I put basically every ball exactly where I wanted to, and there wasn't any questions about how my thumb was. I missed two throws. I probably hit 99 out of 100, and people are wondering what's going on. Nothing's changed week to week. It wasn't like it got better one week and then got worse the other week. That goes through things each week. It gets hit various plays, and I mean, even the Dallas game, when I fumbled, I got hit right on the thumb. And that bothered me, but still was able to make some throws. I got hit a few times in the game. And, just depends on a lot of other factors. But it's not an excuse. I'm not going to use it as an excuse. It is what it is. I suit up every week and expect to play well.
They're saying it was broken or something like that. Are you going to end up using a glove? Will you ever end up having to go to a glove, or is that something you would never, ever do?
No, I'm not a glove guy.
Well, are you a broken thumb quarterback guy, too? Have you ever had to do this before? Has this been something you've ever had to do before?
I mean, I've broken other fingers in the past. I played a season, a stretch in college with my index finger, my throwing hand broken. I broke my pinky on both hands at various times. Cracked, wrist, non-throwing. Which makes certain things painful, getting snaps or whatever. But if I still feel I can go out there and throw it the way I throw it, then obviously I'm gonna keep playing.
Well, Ben, so is that an admission that the thumb is broke?
Not directly, which means I guess we can't say that it is, because then he'll say, "Oh, I never said it was broken."
Right.
But from the sneaking around it, it sure sounds like it is.
So the whole discussion there is about the thumb being broke. Are you a broke thumb kind of guy? And then he just said, "Well, I play with other broken bones," but never says, "Yeah, it's broken. But I played with other things before." He just says, "Yeah, I played with other broken bones before. I had, both pinkies and on and on and on." But it's sure. I'll tell you this. I mean, and again, I go back to that quote, and I thought about that day when Aaron Rodgers was asked specifically, "Is the thumb broke?" And if you listen to Mike Clemens when he was on with us yesterday, Aaron, in very stern eyes, looked right at the reporters, as if to say, "Don't ask me again," and said, "It's hurt."
My thumb is hurt.
My thumb is hurt. Looking with, the laser eyes of "Don't ask me again." So, but, because we have been duped in the past, if you will, about the immunization versus vaccination, but nobody wants to go to the next one, to the next level. Say, well, wait a minute, but is that fun? Is it broke? Is there a broken bone in your thumb? So listen to what he had to say.
Well, are you a broken thumb quarterback guy too? Have you ever had to do this before? Has this been something you've ever had to do before?
I mean, I've broken other fingers in the past. I played a season, a stretch in college with my index finger, my throwing hand broken. I broke my pinky on both hands at various times. Cracked, wrist, non-throwing. Which makes certain things painful, getting snaps or whatever. But if I still feel I can go out there and throw it the way I want to throw it, then obviously I'm going to keep playing.
So, are you a broken thumb kind of guy? Have you played with broken? McAfee is not. He's going to lead you to water, but there's no way he's going to pin down Aaron Rodgers. No way. He's not going to. Otherwise, he would say, "Are you a broken thumb kind of guy?" Or he would ask him directly, "Or do you have a broken thumb?" But he won't do it, which tells you probably that it is. But he's 100% correct. He had terrific throws in the game against the Cowboys. He had some terrific throws. And nobody really brought the thumb into question. And then you get it, banged up a little bit. And then the next thing you know, it's sore. You miss a couple of throws on a windy day, as he had mentioned. And all of a sudden, the thumb is the main topic of conversation. So I get it. He doesn't want to go there. He doesn't want to, bring that all up. And you certainly don't want teams gunning for you. It's bad enough that teams know you got a bum thumb to begin with, much less they start gunning in your direction, So if I had to sit here today and say, I would say he's not using it as an excuse. But I think for what we all kind of look at and hear about, I would probably say, yeah, at the end of the season, you're going to hear about, it had a small fracture in whatever bone. And so, yeah, he had a broken thumb. So I think we'll probably hear that at the end of the season. I didn't believe that at first because he was so emphatic about it. But then the more you listen to it, and when Mike Clemens went through that whole scenario yesterday, when he played back all of those sound cuts, all those sound bites of Rodgers in denial, talking about it, but he never says no. He says it's hurt. And then just like there with Pat McAfee, he doesn't admit to the question. It doesn't admit to the answer of the question by saying, yeah, it's broke. He just goes on about, I played with this. I played with that. This was broken. That was broken. I've done it before. But he doesn't come out and say yes or no, which at this point in time, it's kind of mood, isn't it? Just, hey, Aaron, if you get it hit a weird way, it's going to hurt and it's going to cause you to, take snaps under center weird. It's going to cause you to maybe have that ball float a little bit, okay. So is what it is. 877-867-1670. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break, come back. Final segment of the Bill Michaels Show on this Tuesday edition. Coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Cool weather, brisk winds, and a hot deal. Hi, this is Gina Della from Pella. Is your home ready for winter weather? Don't wait. Right now, put no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 2 years. When it's cold outside, thanks to Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, you'll be warm and toasty inside. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin can be installed in as little as a day, with little to no disruption to your family or your home. Plus, you'll get expert advice from our Pella specialists, professional installation by Pella's certified installers, and the excellent service our customers have come to expect. And Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin has products and warranty offers you won't find anywhere else. Don't wait for the heating bills to start piling up. Right now, put no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 2 years at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Expires 11/30/2022. Certain exclusions and restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers getting ready to face the Eagles in Philly on Sunday Night Football. Eagles GM Howie Roseman continues to make moves, adding Ndamukong Suh and former Vikings Linville Joseph after trading for the Bears' Robert Quinn, and coached by veteran defensive line coach Tracy Rocker. They were able to hold Wisconsin's Jonathan Taylor to under 100 yards in a 17-16 win at Indy. Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni.
We clawed, we scratched, we fought, and we kept going, and we won at the end. And so I think anytime your back's against the wall, a tribute to Coach Rocker and a tribute to Sue and a tribute to Linville, that they were able to do it. And that's, and obviously so appreciative to Howie and his staff for getting those guys in here.
The Eagles improved to 9-1. Green Bay struggled in that disappointing loss to the Titans last Thursday night. Matt LaFleur on what he told the team after slipping to a record of 4-7.
Well, I think you always got to be honest about where you're at. Yeah, we are in a really tough spot. The message that I articulated to our team is every game, it's a one-game season from here on out. Every game is absolutely critical. They all are. There's no margin for error. So we've got to get a lot of things corrected, and we got to look at some of the things that we're asking of our players and making sure that it's just, again, some of those repeat mistakes, whether it's offense or on defense or on teams, just can't have them happening.
The Packers' Christian Watson now leads all rookie receivers in the league with 5 touchdown receptions last week. That tied a franchise record set by Hall of Famer James Lofton. Watson on what's next.
We just got to find a way to dig deeper, find a way to do better, find a way to give more, and find a way to win.
That's Packers rookie wide receiver Christian Watson. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Welcome back to the program. Good to have you. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but the NFL and the NFLPA, I should say, they filed a grievance today claiming that the NFL and all the teams have colluded against its players' pursuit of fully guaranteed deals. There's a third-party arbitrator that's supposed to hear this grievance. The union filed that, quote, in recent weeks. The Athletic was the first to report it, that the NFL General Counsel, Jeff Pash, sent a memo to NFL teams on October 20th notifying of the union's claim that teams plan to prevent the use of fully guaranteed contracts for, quote, certain quarterbacks, end quote, in light of the Deshaun Watson deal. And the NFLPA contends, according to the reports, that the owners have agreed not to give out large-scale, fully guaranteed deals at the August meeting. Now, they must have some pretty powerful evidence of that. And here's the reason why. Because Deshaun Watson, now we know Kirk Cousins got a deal. It was, 3 years, $90 million. Here you go. And then he got another one. But it wasn't crazy money like they dealt out to Deshaun Watson for, years and years and years. And I know Lamar Jackson is looking for upwards of 250 or more guaranteed, million or more guaranteed. I understand. This is why people just hate Jimmy Haslam. A lot of these owners they wanted to see Cleveland, kind of go down because they didn't want that contract to be held up. They wanted that deal to basically go down. Kyler Murray, it's a non-fully guaranteed deal. Remember that extension. Russell Wilson was another one that signed a non-fully guaranteed deal. It's because of the fragility of quarterbacks in the NFL. Now, granted, they get treated differently and they get treated with kid gloves. But, you lose a quarterback for a year or two, and especially when those deals start to come, that we're finding out it handcuffs your team. It really cash straps your team. So, I know that they want these fully guaranteed deals. I get all of that, but it doesn't make good business sense to say you have to have a fully guaranteed deal because two owners really was Iggy Wolf, giving all that money to Kirk Cousins, fell on their head. It just doesn't, especially when you're giving a deal to Deshaun Watson, who hasn't played now in more than a year and a half and hasn't really been able to practice too much. So it never made sense to give him that kind of a deal, but they did. And because of that deal with Deshaun Watson was supposed to raise the bar. If anything, to me, that was the salvo over the bow for some of these owners to say, whoa, wait a minute, this is getting out of hand. We don't want to do this. This is not the direction we want this league to go. And now the Players Association's pissed because they're trying to put the blank back in the horse. And you can't do it. That's why so many owners were really, really unhappy with what Jimmy Haslam did in Cleveland. It's bad enough you got Kirk Cousins, who has only won one playoff game in his career, making all that money. Then you turn around and give it to a guy that off the field had so many issues, and on the field, he's been good, but he hasn't been spectacular for, whole seasons. But yet you're going to give him this deal. So anyway, the NFLPA filing the grievance, and now we'll wait and see, because we all know, the eyes are on Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson wanted money upwards $250 million or more and guaranteed. And Baltimore said, we're not doing it. Not going to do it. Ravens owner Steve Biscotti was candid when speaking about Watson's deal at the NFL owners meetings in March. He said, I'm trying to answer that when I had a reaction to it. And it's like, damn, I wish they hadn't guaranteed that whole contract, talking about Deshaun Watson's deal. I don't know that he should have been the first guy to get a fully guaranteed contract. To me, that's something that's groundbreaking, and it'll make negotiations harder with others. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to play that game. He said, we shall see. If it was bogged down negotiations with Lamar, then maybe I would have a quicker reaction to that news. And that's the way most owners feel. Like I said, Kirk Cousins, a short-term deal, $30 million for a year, $90 million for 3, whatever. Okay. But $250, $300 million fully guaranteed for a longer period of time. Not in the NFL today. I wouldn't do it. It doesn't mean I'm colluding with others. I think it's bad business. It just is. So anyway, we'll find out, how that goes down, obviously. And by the way, the NCAA has awarded Las Vegas. And you knew this was coming because they wanted to expand their sports footprint. But Las Vegas has been given the Final Four. They're going to put it inside where the Raiders play, my assumption. But they have given the Final Four to Las Vegas in 2028. 2028. The national championship that season is going to be decided there in Vegas in the Allegiant Stadium in 2027-2028 season. And they also announced today that Ford Field in Detroit is going to host the Final Four in 2027. Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis is going to get it in 2029. And I've always said, just put the damn thing in Indianapolis. They do such a great job with it. And then AT&T Stadium in Dallas will get it in 2030. But Vegas getting the nod. How about that? There you go. Hey, don't forget, coming up tomorrow night, 6 to 8, it's the Bill Michaels Huddle brought to you by Bud Light. We're going to be at the Deer District at the Mecca Sports Bar and Grill tomorrow night. Wednesday night, 6 to 8. Make plans to be there. Bucks and Bulls at the Fiserv Forum later that evening. Come on by, say hi first, then head over to the Bucks and Bulls game. Enjoy it. Be a good night. Night before Thanksgiving, out and about. All right, good stuff today. That'll do it. Time for